Chapter 3306. What's going on? The elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace followed Cloud Firmament Saint. When they saw Cloud Firmament Saint's actions, they were also confused. Could it be that he had found the culprit? Cloud Firmament Saint sneered. I can already feel his presence. Although I can't be sure, I know that he's among these people. Cloud Firmament Saint had locked onto 200 people. Although it was a lot of people, it was nothing to Cloud Firmament Saint. However, he didn't move. It seemed that he was planning to enter the Devil Cultivation Valley before making his move. It was easy to imagine that these 200 people would end up in a miserable state. After Cloud Firmament Saint, many more people appeared. These people's auras were also very powerful, but their faces were unfamiliar. They didn't know who they were, but without exception they were all experts. Apart from them, Lu Mu and the others had also arrived. It could be said that geniuses and experts had gathered. At this moment, the two elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace stood up and said, I now announce that the first round of the Vermilion Bird rankings has begun. You have 1 month. You only need to survive for 1 month in the Devil Cultivation Valley. After a month, those who come out will be considered to have passed. Of course, I would like to remind everyone that this battle is very cruel and killing is not prohibited. Furthermore, the Devil Cultivation Valley is also a place of great danger. If you want to leave now, you can leave immediately. Of course, those who come out halfway will also be considered eliminated. Now, I will use the array to teleport you to every corner of the Devil Cultivation Valley. Take care of yourselves from now on. The two elders waved their hands and the mountains and rivers below formed a terrifying formation that enveloped everyone. In the next moment, everyone disappeared. At the same time, a loud voice came from the elder's mouth. The first round had begun. The Devil Cultivation Valley was incomparably gloomy. The red ground emitted a scorching aura. But at the same time there was also a gloomy aura. With a flash of light, all the people participating in the competition were sent to the valley. However, very few people were able to be sent together because the valley was too big. Yan Nantian took a step and left the place where he was originally standing. The ground split open and a terrifying vine swept towards him. However, it couldn't threaten him at all. After Yan Nantian dodged it, his eyes flickered and a smile appeared on his face. A bunch of ignorant ants. This time they are all my stepping stones. These people probably didn't know how terrifying the Devil Cultivation Valley was, but by the time they reacted, it would already be too late. He muttered to himself as a cold light flashed in his eyes. However, I've already been here once, so I'm more familiar with this place. He waved his hand and a map appeared amidst the light. There were many dots of light on the map. Clearly they were very important places. It seems that I'm closer to this place. Yan Nantian first confirmed his location and then looked at the map. A smile appeared on his face. Since that was the case, he would first obtain the law and then proceed to the next step. With a flicker of his feet, he quickly left into the distance. There was a slight fluctuation in the air, but it soon calmed down. No one knew that Yan Nantian had already been there. This Vermilion Bird Palace indeed started to cheat for Yan Nantian. On the other side, a tall figure descended. It was Cloud Sky Saint. After he descended, he coldly snorted. However, in the next instant, he frowned and revealed a puzzled expression. He swept his gaze all around as if he was searching for something. Soon he coldly snorted. So that's how it is. This place is actually the same as the legends. However, it's not a threat to me. His figure flickered and he quickly left. At the same time, Yen Ryu, the North Demon, Lu Mu, and the others all descended and appeared in one place. Lin Xian also appeared in a dense forest. As soon as he appeared, there was a terrifying sound in front of him. Those vines were like dark clouds that pressed down with a gloomy aura. They wanted to entangle Lin Xian. Lin Xian coldly snorted and flicked his finger. A fiery red light surged forward, wanting to burn the trees. Soon he exclaimed in surprise. What's going on? He was stunned. Although he had shot out flames, they did not carry the aura of the law. There was no law fragment. How could this be? Lin Xian was too shocked. In the next instant, those black vines wrapped around him. They carried a terrifying poison on them and wanted to ruthlessly stab into his heart. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The 9-yang divine body bloomed with light, and a powerful force shook the vines into pieces. Boom! He raised his fist and punched forward. The trees in front of him were blasted into pieces. Then he frowned. He tried again and found that not only was there no law fragment of fire, but there were also no other law fragments. Had all the laws that he had comprehended disappeared? What was going on? Impossible. However, he really could not use them now. Damn it, there was something wrong with this demon cultivation valley. In an instant he understood that it wasn't his problem. Instead, it was this valley that had a problem. The heaven and earth here seemed to be suppressing his law fragments. At that moment, He-Tu transmitted his voice. Kid, this place seems to be different. It's a world of its own, so the laws here might be different from the great world outside. There was such a thing. Lin Xian was shocked. He-Tu continued. Indeed, a powerful saint could form a special space and plant his own law inside. In that space, the person who created the law was the ruler of heaven and earth. Based on the current situation, it was very likely that someone, or perhaps some saints, had joined forces to create this space. Therefore, the laws here were also revered by the saints who created the space. Other laws were suppressed and could not be used at all. So that's how it is. Lin Xian finally understood. He said that this space should be suppressing everyone. That saint should not be able to use it either. He-Tu said. That's right, that cloud sky saint was very powerful, but he was probably only a first heaven stage saint. There were 9 heaven stage saints and every improvement was incomparably huge. This demon cultivation valley was definitely formed by the cooperation of those powerful saints in ancient times or even more ancient times. Therefore, that cloud sky saint could not break the laws here and he would also be suppressed. That's good. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Since no one could use the law, everyone would be back to the same starting point. Next, Lin Xian began to think about other things. This was an elimination round and the time limit was 1 month. As long as one could last for a month, they would pass. Chapter 3307. Since that was the case, from now on he would only fight the North Demon or Yen Ryu if he met them. He would not let anyone else go. Bus. Lin Xian's feet swayed. He wanted to soar into the air, but he soon realized that even his flight was restricted. He could only fly close to the ground. He could not fly more than 100 meters. Fortunately, he still had his physique. Flying at a low altitude, Lin Xian's speed was extremely fast. Along the way he met many monsters. Most of them were extremely cold. There were also many monsters with terrifying flames. However, Lin Xian had effortlessly smashed them apart with his physical strength. At this time, a blood-curdling scream came from afar. It was very miserable. The entire forest shook as countless crows flew out of the forest and flew towards the distance. Someone was attacked. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and rushed in that direction. Soon he found that someone was killed. His body was torn into pieces. There was a terrifying power in it. The ground around him collapsed and an endless deep hole appeared. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian was shocked. What a terrifying power. It should be a body-tempering expert. Shaking his head, he ignored it and continued on his way. During this time he met 2 people who were easily dealt with by him. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In these 3 days there were countless screams. Some people did not meet but fought a fierce battle. They were attacked by the terrifying monsters in the valley. The situation was extremely miserable. However, at that moment Yan Nanshan's lips curled up. He looked at a quaint cave in front of him and smiled. It should be here. The cave was very strange. Half of the rock layer was black while the other half was red. There were 2 strange powers in the cave. Yan Nantian did not hesitate and walked forward. At the same time Lin Xian also stopped. There was also an ancient ruin in front of him. It was like a movie with a desolate aura. It was said that this demon cultivation valley was very unusual. Some said that it was an ancient battlefield. There were also rumors that there were mysterious treasures inside. However, because it was too dangerous, ordinary people did not dare to enter. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he began his analysis. From the looks of it, there might be a battlefield inside, but there were no traces of a great battle at the moment. As for the second person to have the treasure? Perhaps it was possible, but if it was, wouldn't it have been emptied long ago? One had to know. Half of their lives were able to enter this place. It should be easier for the saints on planet Suzaku to enter. Forget it for now. I'll go and take a look first. Lin Xian stepped forward, preparing to walk towards the palace in front of him. However, at this moment the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind, and 3 figures descended from the sky. If there's a palace, it must be a treasure. Ah, we've arrived. The 3 of them laughed viciously. However, when they saw that there was a figure in front of them who was even faster than them and was about to enter, they were instantly enraged. Damn you kids, stay here. One of them stretched out a large palm and grabbed forward. Now, almost everyone knew that their laws were suppressed here, but so what? No one had any laws, so they returned to the same starting point. Therefore they didn't care. In the blink of an eye, the palm enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian turned around and threw a punch, shattering the other party's palm. The person behind let out a muffled groan and retreated 2 steps. Beside him the other 2 were also on guard. It was an expert. With a clang they pulled out their weapons and released their auras. At the same time Lin Xian turned around. They couldn't see his face clearly. It was so strange. They frowned, but they soon heaved a sigh of relief, because they realized that the other party wasn't Yan Nantian and the others. As long as he wasn't at the peak of the heaven stage, they wouldn't recognize him. He should be a nobody. Although he was a little strong, the 3 of them weren't afraid of him. Get lost, kid. I'll spare your life, the person on the left shouted coldly. However, the person in the middle said that they couldn't let him go because he already knew the whereabouts of the treasure. If they let him go, he would definitely attract others, so they had to kill him to silence him. The person on the right also revealed a sinister smile. That's right, that's what I meant too. All right. The person on the left nodded. He looked at Lin Xian and sneered. Kid, blame your bad luck for seeing something you shouldn't have seen. Now go to hell. The long spear in his hand stabbed over. The long spear was like a dragon, extremely terrifying and emitting light. It was considered powerful among the half-saints, but unfortunately the other party's target was Lin Xian. Seeing that the other party actually dared to attack, Lin Xian sneered and grabbed forward with his palm. Boom. A slap landed on the tip of the spear. Immediately, the long spear changed direction and pierced into the ground. A terrifying force was transmitted to that person's hand. That person's palm split open and blood flowed wildly. Oh no, what a powerful force. This guy is a little terrifying. Help me kill him. The person on the left roared like a madman and quickly repaired his body. Beside him the other 2 people also charged over. One of them was a sword while the other was a saber. Although they did not have the power of laws, they were still extremely terrifying. The biting cold sword chi and saber light slashed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered and swept out his right leg like a coiling dragon. Boom, boom, boom. There was an earth-shattering collision, and cracks appeared on the saber and sword of the 2 people. Their expressions became extremely ugly. Then a golden fist carrying a monstrous golden flame charged towards them. Their weapons shattered, and they vomited blood and flew backward with faces full of horror. They found that their bodies were enveloped in flames. The terrifying flames burned them miserably. The 3 of them screamed. Lin Xian, on the other hand, pretended to draw his sword and slashed forward. With a boom, the sword-drawing technique blasted the 3 of them into a bloody mist. After easily getting rid of the 3 of them, Lin Xian turned his head and looked at the palace in front of him again. In the next moment he walked in. It was very empty inside and only the sound of his footsteps echoed. However, soon he was stunned again because he found that there was someone in front of him. In front of him, that person was originally sitting cross-legged and seemed to be cultivating. However, when he heard the footsteps, he suddenly opened his eyes. In the next moment he turned his head, and a fiery red light appeared in his eyes, instantly igniting the entire void. Lin Xian felt a scorching heat and snorted coldly. He stomped his foot and his body emitted light. He furrowed his brows. In front, the person who turned his head was also stunned. Indeed, there was someone. He stood up. Since you're here, die. As he spoke, he raised his finger and pointed forward. Lin Xian was also stunned because he found that the other party was wearing a red robe with 2 mysterious patterns drawn on it. It was the uniform of the Vermilion Bird Palace. The other party was from the Vermilion Bird Palace. In the next moment he was even more shocked, because he found that the other party had pointed his finger. A vermilion bird that was surrounded by flames appeared. This did not surprise him. Chapter 3308. What was going on? Lin Xian was stunned. The next moment he was hit by the vermilion bird and was instantly sent flying. An ant, unable to withstand a single blow. In front, the Vermilion Bird Palace martial artist retracted his finger, then sat down again, seemingly still wanting to cultivate. However, at this moment, a voice came from outside. Damn laws, how can you cultivate laws? Nothing. Inside the palace, the Vermilion Bird Palace martial artist stood up again, a look of thick shock appearing in his eyes. That shouldn't be, the vermilion bird finger just now had indeed hit the other party. The law of firepower on it was enough to burn the other party to death. Even if the other party was a half-sage, his body and soul would still be destroyed here. The strange thing was, the Vermilion Bird Palace martial artist's figure flashed and instantly arrived outside the palace. The next moment, his eyes widened because he discovered that the person he had just sent flying was actually standing in front of him. His body was somewhat charred, but that blackness was fading quickly. You're not dead? He was seriously too shocked. Could it be that the other party dodged just now? This guy's speed was actually so fast? A little interesting. However, you'd better die for me. He pointed out 2 fingers again. This time, 2 vermilion birds flew over with powerful phantoms. Lin Xian took a deep breath, a piercing light bursting out of his eyes. Although he did not know why the other party would use laws, he reached out 2 palms and grabbed towards the left and right. It seemed like he wanted to catch the 2 vermilion birds. The 2 large golden hands kept growing larger, carrying terrifying power. In an instant they grabbed the heads of the 2 vermilion birds. Then they pressed down hard on the ground. With a bang, the 2 vermilion birds were hit into the ground, directly piercing through the ground. Terrifying flames surged out, the blazing fire soaring into the sky. As expected, there was a problem with this law. Although this law was very strong, it was still not the same as outside. It seemed that the other party should still have his law suppressed. It was just that for some reason he obtained the law of fire here. Therefore he could unleash such an attack. Lin Xian saw through it in an instant. In front, the Vermilion Bird Palace man was stunned, his eyes wide open. What did he see? The 2 law attacks he unleashed were blocked by the other party barehanded. How could this be? Who was the other party? What kind of physique did he have? One had to know that he was also a genius of the Vermilion Bird Palace. He naturally knew the rules of the Devil Cultivation Valley. Therefore, the moment he arrived, he found a space and quickly comprehended the laws within. Soon, he had condensed a fragment of the law of fire, which made him extremely happy. He was now far ahead of the others. Even those top geniuses couldn't beat him because those people couldn't use laws, but he could. That was because the Devil Cultivation Valley was very strange. It was a unique space formed by the cooperation of many sages. It formed its own heaven and earth as well as its own laws. Therefore, one had to cultivate here and comprehend the laws here before they could use it. Furthermore, once the laws were outside, they would disappear without a trace. Thus, it was much faster to comprehend them compared to outside. Therefore, he was able to comprehend the law of fire fragment in a short few days. Only the people of the Vermilion Bird Palace knew about this. The others simply didn't know. Therefore, they were able to seize the initiative. That was indeed the case. But now he found that the initiative was useless. Lin Fan was able to use his physical strength to fight against his law of fire fragment. Lin Xian didn't answer the other party's question. Instead, he asked, "You being able to cultivate laws should have something to do with this palace, right?" It seemed that the secret was there. What a smart brat. Since you found out, I have no choice but to kill you to silence you. The Vermilion Bird Palace genius's face sank and revealed a sinister expression. Although he didn't know what had happened, he had a huge advantage over his opponent. His law of fire fragment could definitely kill Lin Fan. I don't believe you can block my second attack. He crossed his arms and the law of fire fragment condensed, forming a vermilion bird mountain that pressed down. This was one of the Vermilion Bird Palace's great abilities. It had boundless strength and could crush everything. Didn't his opponent have a powerful physique? Then let's see if his opponent's physique was stronger or if his Vermilion Bird Mountain was more terrifying. Boom. With a wave of his hand, the Vermilion Bird Mountain rose into the air. Under the influence of the law of fire fragment, it continued to expand until it filled the entire sky. Then it pressed down on Lin Xian. Lin Xian frowned. This scene was too shocking and would definitely attract the attention of others. If more experts came, it would be troublesome. He had to quickly kill his opponent and comprehend the law of fire fragment inside. Thinking of this, Lin Xian didn't hold back. He roared and raised his hands to meet the attack. With a boom, his hands blocked the Vermilion Bird Mountain. What? How is this possible? Seeing this scene, the Vermilion Bird Palace genius's eyes almost popped out. Lin Fan actually blocked it. This was too unbelievable. Lin Xian was like an overlord. He raised his hands to resist the Vermilion Bird Mountain. At the same time, he roared and used his strength to split the Vermilion Bird Mountain in half. Boom. With a stomp of his foot, he turned into a ray of light and rushed forward. In an instant, he was in front of his opponent. His fist was like a dragon as it punched forward. The Vermilion Bird Palace genius was still in shock. He couldn't believe that his ultimate skill and the law of fire fragment were destroyed by someone's bare hands. Lin Fan only relied on the strength of his physical body. What kind of physique was that? Why hadn't he heard of it before? Suddenly he screamed because he felt a huge pressure pressing down on him. Countless cracks appeared on his body. In the next moment he saw a golden fist coming at him at an extremely fast speed. Not good. The Vermilion Bird Palace genius's pupils shrank. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. He could only roar and use his strongest attack. Vermilion Bird Triple Strike. He extended both of his palms and waved them continuously, mobilizing all of his power. The fragment of the Law of Fire was pushed to the extreme by him. Lin Xian didn't hold back either. At this moment he also used the 9-yang divine body to the extreme. The golden runes on his body moved and shone with a mysterious light. Boom. There was an earth-shattering collision. Then the Vermilion Bird Palace genius's eyes widened. His hands were smashed into a bloody mist and his body was torn to pieces. His eyes were filled with fear. Impossible. Damn it. How was this possible? Finally, at the last moment, he saw the golden runes on his opponent's body. That was the symbol of the 9-yang divine body. Lin Fan had the 9-yang divine body? But that shouldn't be. Didn't the 9-yang divine body perish together with the great demon? Could it be that he didn't die? The Vermilion Bird Palace genius thought of a possibility and screamed like crazy. Chapter 3309. It really was the 9-yang divine body. Vermilion Bird Palace's disciple's scalp went numb because he found out. He found out the most terrifying secret. The 9-yang divine body was not dead. If this news were to spread, who knew how big of a storm it would cause? Not good, he was in danger. Vermilion Bird Palace's disciple had to beg for mercy. Spare me, I swear on my life that I won't reveal your secret to anyone else. There's no need. Rather than believing in Vermilion Bird Palace, it's better to believe a dead person. Lin Xian's eyes exploded with a cold light. He knew that Vermilion Bird Palace had colluded with Yan Nantian. How could they let him go? Therefore he would not be lenient. A sharp sword light flashed and pierced downwards. Not good. The Vermilion Bird Palace's disciple screamed. His soul instantly left his body, abandoning this body to escape. Although his vitality would be greatly damaged, he would at least be able to keep his life. He was very decisive, so he dodged the fatal sword. His body was destroyed and his soul flew into the distance, his eyes filled with malice. When he returned, he had to inform Vermilion Bird Palace to kill him. But in the next moment, he screamed because he found a pair of golden eyes coldly looking down at him from the sky. In the next moment, his soul was ignited. He was burned to ashes with just a scream. At this moment, Lin Xian frowned. He first picked up the disciple's storage ring. Then he formed a seal with his palm and formed a formation that enveloped the entire area. Not long after he finished doing this, he found that there was a sound of breaking through the air outside the formation. Following that, 2 figures wandered around nearby. What's going on? I clearly heard the sound of fighting here. Could it be that it's already over? Maybe. Let's go and eliminate the others. The 2 of them whispered to each other before disappearing into the void. After the 2 left, Lin Xian let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that these people did not discover the formation he had set up. That was for the best. Bus. He turned around and walked towards the palace in front of him again. When they arrived again, Lin Xian carefully examined the place. Previously he had only been curious. Now he knew that there must be something here that could allow them to quickly comprehend the laws of the Devil Cultivation Valley. There was nothing around, which made Lin Xian extremely suspicious. No, his guess shouldn't be wrong. All of a sudden, he recalled that when he had seen the other party earlier, the other party had been sitting cross-legged on the ground and did not seem to have noticed the battle outside. Could it be that he had to adopt a certain posture? He walked forward and sat down cross-legged according to the posture of the Vermilion Bird Palace martial practitioner in his memories. The positions were exactly the same. Lin Xian was surprised to find that the scene in front of him had changed. He actually saw a statue of a saint. From the saint's statue, he could sense a rich law of fire. Indeed, it had the power of the law. Furthermore, these laws were different from those of the outside world. Lin Xian felt that he could comprehend it in a short period of time. This was simply too shocking. Indeed, the world of the Devil Cultivation Valley was different from the outside world. If he comprehended the laws here, he probably would not be able to use them outside. However, this process of comprehension could help him increase his experience. Lin Xian did not hesitate and hurriedly comprehended it. Originally, his law of fire had almost formed a real law, so it was even faster for him to comprehend it now. In just half a day he had comprehended a law of fire fragment. Feeling the law of fire fragment at his fingertips, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He did not know if he could form a real law if he continued to comprehend it. And if he could form a law here, would he be able to break through to the Saint Realm? Lin Xian did not know, but he was prepared to give it a try. Lin Xian continued to comprehend. After spending 2 days he actually managed to condense the law of fire. However, what surprised him was that he did not break through to the Saint Realm. It seemed that the laws here were indeed different from the outside world. Since that was the case, Lin Xian went out. It seemed that there was not only one palace here. There were others. And the people of the Vermilion Bird Palace should have known. In an instant he thought of Yan Nantian. He did not know how many palaces Yan Nantian had found. But he soared into the air and left. On the other side, Yan Nantian walked out of the second palace. He had already comprehended two types of laws. With a wave of his hand, Yan Nantian took out the map again. He saw that there was another palace nearby, but Yan Nantian did not go there. Instead he frowned. This place was a little dangerous. Forget it, it was better not to take the risk. Yan Nantian shook his head and did not go to the closer one. Instead he chose to go to the further one. He planned to form 3 laws first before starting the hunt. It would be best if he could get through the first elimination round and eliminate the strong opponents. That way no one would be his match. Outside the Devil's Cultivation Valley, there were countless people watching the battle. The dark red dragon's eyes flickered. They did not know how the kid was doing inside. But very quickly they laughed. They were thinking too much. There were people who could threaten this kid, but there was probably no one who could kill him. Even the Cloud Sky Sage could not do it. On the other side, the elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace looked down and narrowed their eyes. They did not know how many laws Yan Nantian had comprehended. They estimated that in a few days the real slaughter would begin. Their eyes shone with a fiery light. Below, in the Devil Cultivation Valley, Yan Nantian stopped. He had met someone and his lips curled into a smile. I didn't expect you to meet me so soon. It seems like your luck is really bad. Cut the crap. Do you really think you can beat me? The figure snorted. He was covered in scales and looked abnormally terrifying. He was the peerless genius Long Zhaotian. Long Zhaotian was powerful, and as a dragon, his bloodline was terrifying. He was ranked second on the Abyss leaderboard, only behind Lin Xian and Di Ling. He was even ranked above Yan Nantian. So when he heard Yan Nantian's arrogant words, Long Zhaotian was naturally unhappy. Boom. With a stomp of his foot, he turned into a stream of light and charged forward. His palm was like a mountain, shattering the entire sky. The power was extremely terrifying. You dare to attack me? You're courting death. I originally wanted to start a massacre, but it's fine. I'll start with you. Yan Nantian's eyes lit up. He slashed his palm forward. Suddenly, green laws condensed and flashed, turning into a biting cold blade light that flashed out. Long Zhaotian was sent flying. His face was filled with fear. Chapter 33:10. He also realized that something was wrong. The green saber light carried a biting cold law of wind. How could the other party use law? One had to know that after entering the demonic cultivation valley, the laws were suppressed. He thought that the others should not be able to use it either. But now the situation was beyond his expectations. The other party could use law. Hehe, you're surprised, aren't you, ignorant ant? Do you really think I'm the same as you? Now go to hell for me. Countless lightning bolts surrounded Yan Nantian's palm, forming a ball of lightning. It also carried a terrifying law of lightning. Not good. Long Zhaotian's expression changed. He had to leave quickly because he was no match for the other party. He did not have law, so his power was much weaker than before. He had to figure out what was going on. Turning around, he tore the void and wanted to leave. You want to leave? Can you leave? Yan Nantian controlled the law of wind and quickly charged over. The lightning in his hand formed a lightning sword that pierced forward. In an instant, thousands of sword chi stabbed out. The incomparably violent power of lightning completely shattered the front. Long Zhaotian was once again affected and was sent flying. Although his physique was strong, he was still injured under the law. His scales were stained with blood. Damn it. He roared angrily and fled again. Yan Nantian chased after him. The two of them fought an earth-shattering battle that alarmed many people. What was going on? The power of law. Yan Nantian could use law. The surrounding people were all stunned. This scene was really beyond their expectations. Yan Nantian snorted coldly. The law of wind merged into the void, forming a terrifying wind blade that killed all the people around him. In an instant, more than 10 experts were killed. However, the commotion caused by this battle was too great. Moreover, there were still people around, so some people still escaped. The news spread out in an instant. Long Zhaotian also went all out. He used the power of his bloodline and finally escaped. Yan Nantian's face was gloomy. He did not expect Long Zhaotian to escape from his hands. Moreover, what surprised him was that the news of law spread so quickly. He snorted coldly and did not chase after him. Instead, he turned around and walked towards his third target. He wanted to collect as much law power as possible before starting to hunt others. Yin Nantian left, but the news had indeed spread. Everyone was incomparably shocked. They couldn't use Dharma laws, but Yin Nantian could. It was really surprising. It seemed that Yin Nantian either had a treasure on him that could resist the laws of the valley, or there was something in the valley that could make him use the laws. For a time, countless people were frantically searching for him. At the same time, Cloud Sky Saint also made his move. He had come to participate in the competition this time to find the murderer. Previously, he had locked onto an area where there were 200 warriors. He wanted to eliminate them one by one. After killing the person in front of him with one palm, Cloud Sky Saint started to collect the souls. He then scoffed coldly. This was the 33rd one. He said coldly. As it turned out, he had already started to take action in the past few days. In just a few days he had actually killed 33 experts. It was truly unbelievable. It seemed that he had to speed up. Cloud Sky Saint began to use a great divine power. He continued to pursue his goal. Lin Xin walked out of the ancient palace and continued on his way. This place was very big, so it wasn't that easy to meet others. He had to search patiently. However, Lin Xian's current goal was to find the other palaces. However, he didn't find any palaces. Instead, he met two other people. The other two were from Vermilion Bird Palace. That's right, it's you. I can sense your aura from your body. You fought with people from Vermilion Bird Palace before, right? The two of them stared at Lin Xian. The person on the right said coldly, "Don't talk nonsense with him. We'll know once we capture him and collect his soul." A terrifying aura rose from their bodies. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. You want to fight me? Great, I also want to test the power of the laws here. He waved his hand and a ball of red runes floated out and danced in the sky. Fire Dharma. The two people from Vermilion Bird Palace narrowed their eyes. Damn it, you can actually use Dharma. They were really shocked. It seemed that the news had been exposed. You should have killed people from Vermilion Bird Palace. That's right, not only did I kill one, but I also want to kill both of you. Lin Xian's eyes burst with a piercing cold light. What an arrogant guy. So what if you have comprehended Dharma? The two of us have also comprehended Dharma. 2 against 1, can you beat us? The two of them laughed sinisterly. The water Dharma and earth Dharma on their bodies waved. It seemed that the most common Dharma here was also the 5 elements Dharma and the mutated 5 elements Dharma. Stupid guy, go to hell. One of the people from Vermilion Bird Palace instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was still behind Su Chen. He cultivated the earth Dharma and could escape through the earth. Therefore, as long as there was earth, his speed was very fast. He instantly arrived behind Lin Xian and grabbed forward with his palm. On his hand claws there was a sinister power. At the same time, the other person also attacked. The law of water formed a monstrous sea, forming a killer whale that covered the sky and rushed over. Facing the two people's strong attacks, Lin Xian did not dodge at all. Instead, the fire Dharma in his palm became more and more resplendent. Then I'll let you see a real vermilion bird. He shouted coldly. The merciless Dharma turned into a vermilion bird and wrapped around his body. The vermilion bird roared at the sky. Its wings could move, forming a terrifying firestorm that enveloped the two people. The two people screamed like crazy. Damn it, why is the power of the fire so terrifying? They wanted to retreat because they found that the other party was too evil. However, that vermilion bird spread its wings and flew. Its wings were like fiery red heavenly blades, instantly splitting the two people's bodies. Burn? The monstrous fire enveloped everything. The other party's soul could not escape. After getting rid of another two, Lin Xian disappeared again. Outside the demon cultivation valley, the elder frowned. He found that 2 more of the jade tokens in her hand had shattered. Damn it, what's going on? Until now, 3 Vermilion Bird Palace martial artists had already been killed. Who is it? Is someone targeting Vermilion Bird Palace? They did not know because they were already unable to stop it. After a few days, almost everyone knew about the Dharma. They also knew that there was a kind of palace in the demon cultivation valley. One could comprehend the Dharma inside. Therefore, many people were frantically searching for it. Lin Xian was also searching. Furthermore, he was also looking for others. They're actually targeting me? Suddenly, Lin Xian was stunned. He saw 2 people rushing towards him. Could it be that they wanted to get rid of him? Chapter 33:11. Thinking of this, he sneered and decided to take the initiative to attack. With a flicker he charged toward the force on the right. His speed was very fast. When he saw those figures he instantly attacked. The vermilion bird palms slapped out. Monstrous flames turned into a vermilion bird and flew forward. Everything in front of him was burned. What terrifying flames! Could it be someone from Vermilion Bird Palace? A cry of surprise came from the front. In the next moment, a terrifying saber light tore through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. It slashed towards the vermilion bird. It was someone from Vermilion Bird Palace. Run! Those people were also sent flying. They hurriedly turned around and fled. Lin Xian snorted coldly and charged forward. At the same time his eyes flickered. The flames on his body danced and enveloped all of his aura. At the same time he transformed the flames into the form of a vermilion bird and enveloped his body. Since these people mistook him for someone from Vermilion Bird Palace, he did not explain. He would let Vermilion Bird Palace bear all of this grudge. In an instant Lin Xian caught up to the other party. There were 5 people. When they saw that there was only one person charging over from behind, the 5 of them were stunned for a moment, then turned their heads. There was actually only one person. Don't hesitate, attack. They thought that it was a group of people from Vermilion Bird Palace. After all, forming an alliance was a very normal thing here. But now there was only one person. In that case they would not be polite. The 5 of them attacked one after another, but very soon, they discovered that they could not beat the person in front of them. The person in front of them was too terrifying. The flames were even more terrifying. They carried the power of laws and burned everything. Immediately the 3 of them were sent flying. 2 of them were even ignited. More than half of their bodies were burned. They had to hurry and beg for mercy. Stop, we have no enmity. No enmity? So what? In front of Vermilion Bird Palace you can kill whoever you want. But don't worry, I'm in a good mood today so I won't kill you. But you've already lost the qualifications to compete. Su Qin imitated Vermilion Bird Palace's tone. With a wave of his hand, he enveloped the 5 of them and threw them into the sky. With a boom, the vermilion bird enveloped the 5 of them and rushed out of the valley. No. They screamed crazily, but it was useless. Soon they fell out. The spectators outside exclaimed in surprise. Why did someone come out? In the next moment they saw 5 figures wrapped in the flames. When the 5 figures came out, their expressions were also ugly. They had only been in there for a few days, and before they could do anything they were thrown out. Furthermore, they were all injured. What's going on? Why did you guys come out? The elders and masters of these people all gathered around. That shouldn't be the case. With the strength of the 5 of you, you should be able to last for at least half a month. You might even succeed. When the 5 of them saw their master's elders, they hurriedly cried out in alarm. They were from the Vermilion Bird Palace. What? Vermilion Bird Palace? The masters and elders of these people sucked in a breath of cold air and fell silent. The Vermilion Bird Palace was not something they could afford to offend. However, following that, more and more people were thrown out. After these people came out, they looked in the direction of the Vermilion Bird Palace, not daring to say anything. Who threw you guys out? It was Vermilion Bird Palace. They were from the Vermilion Bird Palace. Voices rang out one after another. The spectators were in an uproar. The Vermilion Bird Palace was too domineering, directly throwing people out. Wasn't this slapping the faces of these families in public? Indeed, many people shook their heads. If they were really domineering, wouldn't it be over if they killed them in the valley? That way no one could blame the Vermilion Bird Palace. But now the Vermilion Bird Palace did not do that. They did not kill, but they ruthlessly trampled on them. That was a resounding slap in the face. All of the families that were thrown out had unsightly expressions on their faces. Their bodies were filled with anger. The Vermilion Bird Palace elders also frowned. However, at that moment one of them said, "Ignore them. No one dares to attack us here." However, not long after, when the 2 women were thrown out, it caused an uproar. They were actually 2 disciples of the Sky Qin Palace. The moment they appeared, the elders of the Sky Qin Palace instantly came over. What was going on? The 2 women also had ugly expressions. It was the Vermilion Bird Palace who did it. What? It was the Vermilion Bird Palace again. The surrounding people were stunned. The Sky Qin Palace people were instantly enraged. They stared at the Vermilion Bird Palace people with a cold glint in their eyes. Damn it, this grudge will be returned sooner or later. These elders brought the 2 women away. The Vermilion Bird Palace people also frowned. But thinking about it, it was really possible that it was their people who did it. These people were all thrown out by Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian was currently pretending to be a member of the Vermilion Bird Palace. After walking for another half a day, suddenly, A scream came from ahead, and a terrifying energy vibration. Immediately after, a figure crashed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's figure flashed and dodged. That figure crashed into the ground, blasting out a huge deep pit. Instantly there was no aura. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He frowned because he saw a figure rushing over here quickly. Cloud Firmament Saint. Lin Xian was surprised and turned around to leave, because he saw 3 laws hanging on Cloud Firmament Saint. Worthy of being a saint, to actually find 3 laws in such a short time. If it was outside, Lin Xian would not be afraid of Cloud Firmament Saint. But now, in this special space, his laws could not be used at all. Therefore, Lin Xian did not plan on getting into a conflict with the other party now. The most important thing now was still comprehending laws. Therefore, his figure flashed and instantly fled far away. "Wanna leave?" Cloud Firmament Saint laughed coldly. His large palm enveloped the entire space. Lin Xian felt a tremendous pressure wanting to push his body away. He snorted coldly, his body trembled, and he turned around. He just did not want to fight with the other party. Did they really think that he was afraid of the other party? Fire Law formed a law sword. A sword slashed forward. This sword was incomparably terrifying. It was like a bolt of lightning, instantly shattering his palm and arriving in front of Cloud Firmament Saint. Cloud Firmament Saint's expression changed. He extended 2 fingers, there were still 2 laws coiling around them, clamping this sword light. He was furious. There was actually someone who could threaten him. Who was it? Was it the murderer of the Yun family's prodigy? He stared at Lin Xian and realized that the flames on Lin Xian's body were monstrous. He could not see through the other party. The other party was very strange and suspicious. Cloud Firmament Saint's eyes burst with a piercing cold light. The 3 laws turned into divine chains of order and charged forward. Clattering sounds could be heard in the air. The entire world seemed to be controlled by the other party. Lin Xian was shocked and retreated. A saint was too terrifying. Although his combat strength was comparable to a saint's, he was still a saint. Some of his laws were still incomparable to a saint's. Therefore, when he saw this scene, Lin Xian quickly retreated. Chapter 33:12. Suddenly the ground beneath Cloud Sky Saint cracked open. Endless lava gushed out like a flaming beast and enveloped him. Boom. However, he only managed to kill an afterimage. Cloud Sky Saint was still surrounded by the law of wind, which made his speed extremely fast. "You still want to fight me? Go to hell, you ant." A cold voice came from behind Lin Xian. Then, a palm with thunder in the sky slammed toward Lin Xian's head. Lin Xian did not even turn his head as he punched toward the sky. With a loud boom, the 2 of them collided and the sky collapsed. Lin Xian retreated and so did Cloud Sky Saint. Cloud Sky Saint was surprised that Lin Xian was able to block his attack. Who was he? One had to know that he was a sage. Facing these people, he could squash them like ants. Other than Yan Nantian and a few other top sky prides who could fight against him, the others were no match for him at all. They could not even block one attack. However, the mysterious person in front of him could fight against him. He found it hard to believe. He was powerful and mysterious. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that the person in front of him might be the culprit. "You were actually able to block my attack." Cloud Sky Saint was furious. He felt humiliated and provoked. Another attack came, and it was as if a thundercloud had descended. Thunder turned into a lightning chain that wrapped around his palm and fell mercilessly. "Get lost." Lin Xian was also furious. He punched out, and the law of fire on his fist turned into a millstone that could destroy the world. It was another shocking attack and the 2 of them retreated. "Let me show you my holy realm world." Cloud Sky Saint's voice was cold. He waved his hand, and the law of fire in the sky formed a space that enveloped them. That space was too real. Thunder roared and ice spread, forming a small world. This was a unique technique of a saint, and it was far beyond the domain of a king. Kill. In this world, Cloud Sky Saint was the ruler. With a cold shout, the thunder above his head fell. This was the thunder tribulation of this small world, and it wanted to pierce through Lin Xian. Lin Xian roared, and the flames on his body turned into a vermilion bird that roared toward the sky. At the same time, he swept his right leg out to meet the wind sword. The wind sword was too terrifying. It split the entire world in half. Lin Xian's kick and the wind sword was sent flying. His entire leg was numb. Crack, crack, crack. At that moment, the sky full of ice, Cloud Sky Saint and Sky Saint and Sky Saint. Then the space he was in was completely frozen. Sky Saint was frozen as well. The thunder sky and the wind sword and the wind sword. At this moment, the people in the outside world all cried out in shock. Heavens, what a terrifying attack. Did Cloud Sky Saint make a move? Most likely, those who could make the Cloud Firmament Saint take action were the few top-notch geniuses. Many people were discussing, and the Vermilion Bird Palace elders were all nervous. Could it be Yan Nantian? They did not know. Lin Xian's figure appeared in the Saint Realm's small world. He was hit by the violent power of the laws. The flames on his body were torn apart and cracks appeared on his body. A ray of golden light shone out from the flames. Although he could not use the law of wood, his body was still extremely strong, and the longevity incantation in his body was quickly activated. The flames spread again and the ray of golden light was enveloped. What's up with that golden body? Cloud Sky Saint frowned. Is he hiding his identity? His face darkened and he struck again. The entire small world shook, and Lin Xian was once again in an extremely dangerous situation. Kill. Lin Xian roared, and the shadow of a giant shot up into the sky. It held a law sword in its hand, and a dragon's roar resounded. With a slash of the sword, a terrifying crack appeared in the sky above the Saint Realm's small world. It was almost split open. However, it did not split open in the end. Damn it, what's wrong with this guy? Cloud Sky Saint was completely stunned. Although he had comprehended these laws now and they were not his original laws, the power of the Saint Realm's small world was not as strong as it was originally. But no matter what, it was still a saint's world. How could a half-saint split it open? He was completely enraged. He decided to capture Lin Xian at all costs. Lin Xian was too strange. With a cold shout, the crack in the sky healed, and the power of the Saint Realm's small world became terrifying again. However, with a loud boom, the Saint Realm's small world shook violently before being cleaved into two. A voice floated out from the crack. Go quickly. After hearing this voice, Lin Xian shot up into the sky without hesitation. Damn it, seeing that his small world had split open again, Cloud Sky Saint was completely enraged. He reached out with his gale hand and wrapped it in all directions. However, it was pierced by someone in an instant. The only thing he saw was Lin Xian and another white-robed woman floating away. Yenryu? Cloud Sky Saint's face darkened, but he did not chase after them. This Yenryu was also very strange. She was actually able to split open his small world. She must have some secrets. After Lin Xian and the white-robed girl left, they flew for a while and landed on a mountain peak. The white-robed girl was Yenryu. At this moment, she turned her head and looked at Lin Xian with a smile on her face. It's really you. I knew you wouldn't die so easily. How did you recognize me so quickly? Lin Xian smiled. Then, the flames in the sky disappeared, revealing his true appearance. What do you think? Actually, when I just arrived at the Demon Cultivation Valley, I recognized you immediately. You, Lin Xian still wanted to ask. After all, he wanted to know what was going on with Yenryu. Why did she change her name? Yenryu stretched out a jade-like finger and touched Lin Xian's mouth. Then she shook her head slightly. Don't ask any more. You just need to know that I'm still me. I won't hurt you. Lin Xian did not ask any more. He knew that everyone had secrets, especially top prodigies like her. For example, he had many secrets that he could not tell others. Yenryu was probably the same. How many laws have you comprehended? Lin Xian asked. Two. The law of ice and the law of lightning. I've received some news. There are many ancient palaces of demon cultivation, but it seems that there are only 9 laws. The 5 elemental laws, wind, lightning, ice, and mist. These 9 laws make up this demon cultivation world. Among them, the most threatening one is Cloud Sky Saint. He is a saint himself. Other than him, there is Yan Nantian. Yan Nantian should have comprehended the most laws. Chapter 33:13. Although they were half-sages, they had the clones of saints in their bodies. Is not equal to their strength was much stronger than the top half-sages. Although they were not true saints, they were definitely terrifying. If you encounter them, you must be extremely careful. There were more clones of saints? Lin Xian was surprised. He did not expect the Vermilion Bird list to attract so many saints. There was no choice. The Vermilion Bird Palace had taken out many good things such as the Tao Stone. There were probably saints eyeing it. Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. He would not let anyone take the Earth Tao Stone. What are your plans? Yenryu asked. Obtain first place in the Vermilion Bird list and kill Yan Nantian. Of course, if that Cloud Sky Saint does not know what is good for him, I don't mind sending him to the Yellow Springs. Lin Xian's voice was filled with extremely cold killing intent. Hearing this, Yenryu was stunned. This guy's ambition is really not small. Yen Nantian was the successor of a great emperor. He definitely had countless Dharma treasures in his hands. She heard that he had several escape talismans. If you want to kill him, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Probably even a saint would not be able to kill him. Cloud Sky Saint was also extremely terrifying. His realm was very high and his methods were mysterious. It would not be easy to kill these two people. Cloud Sky Saint did not care, but this Yen Nantian must be killed. No matter how many life-saving methods he had, he was not an immortal existence. If he did not die once, then he would kill him twice, thrice until he exhausted all his resources. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Yen Ryu asked curiously, "Why do the two of you have such a huge grudge?" It was very common for geniuses to compete for attention. However, Lin Xian's current situation was probably not a simple competition. Lin Xian said coldly, "It was him who lured the great demon out to kill me. Do you think I will let him go? So that's how it is." Yen Ryu understood. However, it was better not to act rashly now. It was better to comprehend more laws first. Next, Lin Xian and Yen Ryu joined hands and quickly searched. Finally, the two of them found 3 palaces. The two of them had comprehended 3 types of laws. In addition to what they had comprehended previously, Lin Xian had 4 types and Yen Ryu had 5 types. Not long after, they killed a few more people and seized a palace. However, they did not enter and were instead bounced back. "What's going on?" Lin Xian frowned. "Why can't I go in?" Yen Ryu's eyes also flickered. "It's over. I was too careless. There must be a condition to enter this place." "Conditions? What conditions?" "We just went in casually." Suddenly he was stunned. Could it be that there was a limit to the number of people who could enter? It was possible. For example, each palace could only allow a certain number of people to enter. Once the number of people reached a certain number, the palace would close. No one else could enter at all. The two of them discussed and quickly came to this conclusion. They remained silent, but at this moment, the entire Devil Cultivation Valley began to tremble. "What's going on? What happened?" Lin Xian and Yen Ryu felt the tremors as if they were facing a great enemy. The reason for that was because that aura was simply too mysterious and too terrifying. However, the tremors lasted for a short while and then disappeared. However, when it disappeared, Lin Xian frowned. He noticed that there were 4 more colors on his body. Yen Ryu had 5 colors on her body. What's going on? Why are there colors? The colors were like rays of light. They floated on their bodies and turned into colorful dragons. They did not disappear at all. Instead, they shone brightly. They could be seen from afar. This was the color of the laws. Lin Xian was surprised. He had 4 types of laws, so 4 colors were displayed. Yen Ryu's 5 types of laws were 5 colors. They turned their heads and saw that the palace in front of them had a similar color on the wall. It was green. Lin Xian and Yen Ryu did not have such a color. "It's really like that." Lin Xian understood. It seemed that there was a limit to the number of people. Now that the color was displayed, did it mean that they could obtain the qualifications to enter the Green Palace by killing those who had green laws? It should be like that. Yen Ryu's face was also cold. "Next, the two of us will have to work together." "That's right. I'm relieved to work together with you." Lin Xian nodded. Yen Ryu also revealed a beautiful smile. They raised their heads and looked into the distance. Indeed, there were also rays of light flickering in the distance. Some had 1, some had 2, some had 3, and the one with the most had 7. There was also one with 6, while the rest had 4 or 5. Who is the one with 7 colors? Is it Yen Nantian or Cloud Sky Saint? Lin Xian did not know. However, he knew that a bloodbath was about to happen. Indeed, the others also noticed this change. Even the people outside of the Devil Cultivation Valley also saw the colorful lights moving around. They knew that there was a change in the Demon Cultivation Valley. Next, there would be a large number of killings. Because at this moment, those who had colors became the target of everyone. "I have the laws of metal, fire, wind, and lightning, which are yellow, orange, green, and purple." Yen Ryu had 1 more color than him. That was the law of ice. The one closest to them had 3 laws. His body had a blue color, which was a color that they did not have. Therefore, Lin Xian and Yen Ryu prepared to take action. The two of them were very fast as they rushed forward. At the same time, the person with 3 laws in front also seemed to have seen it. He was immediately scared out of his wits. He fled like crazy. He tried to hide the light, but he could not. The laws of heaven and earth made it necessary for the light to exist. Lin Xian and Yen Ryu caught up to the 3 nomological martialists in an instant. The martialist's face turned extremely ugly. He had white wings on his body and was flying rapidly. However, he was directly covered by a huge hand. He was scared out of his wits. Damn it. The person in front stopped. Lin Xian and Yen Ryu landed. After seeing the other party, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It was a prodigy of the White Crane race. Moreover, he recognized the other party. The other party was also a genius on the Abyss rankings. However, in front of him it was still nothing. The genius of the White Crane race also saw Lin Xian and Yen Ryu. At this moment, Lin Xian's face was still covered, so he could not see clearly. However, he recognized Yen Ryu. His pupils shrank and his face became extremely ugly. It turned out to be Fairy Yen, a powerhouse of the White Crane race. He braced himself and greeted them. Yen Ryu said in a delicate voice. Since he knew he might as well capture him. Don't kill me. I'm willing to use a law in exchange for my life. As he spoke, he roared and directly grabbed the blue light on his body, forcibly pulling it out of his body. This process was very painful, but the man of the White Crane race still managed to do it quickly. Soon, a blue light danced in the sky like a dragon. It carried a vast aura of the law of water. Laws could actually leave the body. Lin Xian was surprised. It seemed that the laws here were indeed mysterious. However, this should be a protective law. Chapter 33:14. Yen Ryu smiled, seemingly very satisfied with the other party's approach. She turned her head to look at Lin Xian. Go get it. Seeing that Lin Xian still wanted to delay, Yen Ryu said, I don't have such a big target like you and I don't have anyone to kill. So I can guarantee that I can pass the first round. You're different. If you meet those two people, it will definitely be a life and death battle. All right. Lin Xian did not stand on ceremony. He directly waved his hand and grabbed the blue law. However, he did not immediately comprehend it. Because that blue law was like a swimming dragon, circling above his palm. It seemed that he had only obtained a qualification. A qualification to comprehend the law. And this prerequisite was that he had to find the hall of the law of water. So that's how it was. Looks like he had to go find the hall. Lin Xian and Yen Ryu soared into the sky. They disappeared into the void. After 2 days, Lin Xian found the hall of the law of water. He went in to comprehend while Yen Ryu waited outside. At the same time, a few people targeted the two of them. Because the light on the two of them was really too eye-catching. At this moment, it was very chaotic. The figures with many colors of light were doing their best to eliminate others. Between each other, there was also a struggle. However, among them there was a clear distinction. Among them there were those with 7 and 6 colors. No one dared to provoke them. Wherever the other party passed, others would retreat one after another. As for those with 3, 4 and 5 colors, the struggle was extremely intense. They knew that these were basically people with similar strength and had to be eliminated now. Otherwise, there would be an intense life and death battle in the future. There were even some people who had secretly joined forces. Among them there were people who charged towards Lin Xian and Yen Ryu. The leader was a woman wearing a red robe embroidered with 2 mysterious patterns. She was a genius of the Vermilion Bird Palace. Her identity was very extraordinary. She was the Holy Maiden of the Vermilion Bird Palace. At this moment, there were 5 rays of light on her body. It was very eye-catching. Behind her, there were actually 5 people following 5 powerhouses. The weakest had 3 laws. The strong one was the same as her with 5 laws. The remaining 3 people all had 4 laws. The 5 of them were very powerful. At this moment, they were actually working together. Inside the valley, the others frantically retreated, not daring to approach. They knew that a huge hunt was about to begin. The people outside the valley also saw this scene. They couldn't see clearly, but they could see the 5 colorful figures quickly surrounding the other 2 people. He wondered who it was that was able to gather 5 experts. I was curious. Who were those 2 people? I'm afraid he's going to suffer. Looking at the glow on his body, he was definitely a top-notch expert. Unfortunately, 2 against 6, there was no chance of winning. At this moment, Lin Xian was comprehending the law of water. Yen Ryu frowned. She naturally saw the 6 figures rushing over. They were here to deal with both of them. She frowned. If she was alone, she could leave calmly, but not now. She wanted to protect Lin Xian. If these people attacked the palace and caused a commotion, Lin Xian would be affected. It was very likely that he would go berserk, which was very dangerous. It seemed like they could only fight. A sharp light appeared in Yen Ryu's eyes, as if he had made some kind of decision. At the same time, 6 figures arrived before him. It's you? When the 6 people appeared, many of them exclaimed. They recognized Yen Ryu at a glance. They didn't expect it to be Yen Ryu here. Then who was the other person? There was no one around. It was obvious that someone had entered the palace to comprehend. Who was with Yen Ryu? Was it the North Demon? They knew that Yen Ryu and the North Demon knew each other and were in the same world. So, it was very likely that they had joined forces. The North Demon was very strong, but if the 6 of us joined forces, we wouldn't be afraid of him. A few of them spoke. The Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden, who was the leader, also laughed. Her sister was so beautiful. It wouldn't be good if such a peerless beauty was injured. Hand over the 5 laws on you and we'll let you live. However, you don't have to care about the one inside. The others were silent. They were all experts, but it was obvious that they were following the Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden. You want the laws on me and you want my companion? Do you have the right? Yen Ryu's expression was calm, but his words were filled with disdain. You're courting death. Although you're strong and ranked above Zhao Wuliang, so what? The 6 of us are all top geniuses. It seems that you don't know a few of us. Let me introduce you. The Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden's eyes were cold. Obviously, she wanted to use the names of the people behind her to scare the other party away. I don't need to say anything. The one beside me, Lu Mu, is ranked 9th on the Abyss leaderboard. This Bei Sanxing is ranked 12th on the Abyss leaderboard. I think you should know the 2 of them. As for the other 3? Although they weren't on the Abyss leaderboard, they were definitely not weak. This is Ming Wangdong, the top genius of the Nether King clan. This is Sima Su, one of the half-saints of the Sima clan. This is Wu Ying, also a top expert of the Anya clan. If we fight alone, the 6 of us might not be your match. But if the 6 of us join forces? Can you block us? How many moves can you block? The Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden said. So, I advise you not to waste your energy. Is that so? If Yen Nantian, Long Badian, Cloud Sky Saint, and the others join forces, I might retreat. But you guys? I'm afraid you're not qualified. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the 6 people in front all sank. Indeed, compared to Yen Nantian, Cloud Sky Saint, and the others, they were indeed a lot weaker. If those people were in the first echelon, then they were undoubtedly in the second echelon. It could even be said that they were close to the first echelon. If the 6 of them joined forces, even Yen Nantian wouldn't dare to be careless. No matter how strong Yen Ryu was, could she be compared to Yen Nantian? Holy Maiden, it seems that this little girl doesn't know what's good for her. In that case, let's directly attack. Bei Sanxing's eyes bloomed with a touch of a biting cold light. Alright, let's see what kind of ability Fairy Yen has. There's no need for all of us to attack, just the 3 of us are enough. Bei Sanxing stood out and Lu Mu also slashed out. The other one was Ming Wangdong. As soon as the 3 of them appeared, a terrifying power rushed out from their bodies. Bei Sanxing took a step forward, and a powerful aura spread out from his body. The law behind him also danced quickly. He took out a flute and started to play. A sorrowful aura filled the air, filled with despair. This wasn't an ordinary song, but a kind of peerless superpower called the Great Compassion Mantra. Those who didn't have a firm mind after listening to it would immediately commit suicide. The Great Compassion Mantra was very famous. It was said that 3,000 years ago, there was once a person who used the Great Compassion Mantra, causing more than 10 half-saints to commit suicide instantly. This kind of battle record spread across many worlds. Chapter 33:15. Lu Mu also made his move. He held a spear and stabbed it forward. The spear was surrounded by the power of 4 laws. The last one was Ming Wangdong. He waved his hand and countless pieces of ice appeared. A terrifying world of ice instantly shrouded the front. The 3 of them made a move with shocking power. Behind them, the Vermilion Bird Saintess and the other 2 sneered. Perhaps they didn't even need to make a move to get rid of Yen Ryu. A cold light appeared in Yen Ryu's eyes. Her hand was extremely white and emitted a dazzling radiance. 5 laws surrounded her fingertips as she slapped forward. The palm technique was light as a feather, but the void was constantly collapsing. This palm had actually blocked the attacks of the 3 of them. Not only that, but it also forced the 3 of them back. How could it be? Lu Mu and the other 2 retreated in shock. Was the opponent so strong? The Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others frowned. It seemed that they had underestimated her. The 3 of them should also make a move. The 2 beside them nodded. At this moment, 6 people stood out. The 6 of them attacked together and used their super skills. They were much stronger than before. In their opinion, they could even fight against the Cloud Sky Saint, not to mention Yen Ryu. Boom. Yen Ryu didn't use any other techniques. Her white palm emitted an even whiter radiance. The 5 laws on it kept dancing, forming a divine chain of order. It wrapped around her jade-like fingers and slapped forward. An earth-shattering sound was heard. Yenryu was forced back. However, she didn't seem to be injured. How could it be? She wasn't injured. The Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others were shocked. This woman was too strange. Hurry up and attack. The 6 of them rushed forward and fought with Yenryu. 1 against 6. It was definitely a one-sided battle. Yenryu was indeed suppressed and was at a disadvantage. However, she was very strong. Even if she was at a disadvantage, she wasn't seriously injured. Put in more effort and take her down. Someone shouted coldly. The Vermilion Bird Saintess's eyes were filled with malice. She wanted to take this opportunity to kill Yenryu. She was too terrifying. She was a huge threat to her. It was another 6 super skills. Yenryu was forced back again. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. She frowned and wanted to use the thing in her body. A terrifying and mysterious power gushed out from her body. Heaven and earth trembled, and the faces of the Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others changed. Could it be that the other party is going to open some kind of treasure? Thinking of this, their eyes were filled with killing intent. It seemed that they would have to use their secret techniques or take out their half-sane tools to kill the other party. However, at that moment, an explosion sounded from the palace behind them. Then a figure walked out. The people inside were coming out. The Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others were stunned. Even Yenryu was stunned. This was much earlier than she had imagined. It wasn't the North Demon. They were stunned. They discovered that the person who walked out in front of them was extremely hazy. They couldn't see clearly at all. Who exactly was it? But clearly it wasn't the North Demon. They knew the Northern Yao, but this person was clearly different. Yenryu wasn't with North Demon. Who was she with? They were curious and puzzled. Yenryu asked, "Why did you come out? Could it be that the battle here alarmed you?" "Don't worry, I can handle 6 people." Lin Xian shook his head. He had finished comprehending, so he came out. He didn't expect to see the battle outside. 6 against 1? Lin Xian's face darkened, and a cold light appeared in his eyes. Although the 6 of them weren't as terrifying as Yan Nantian, they were still a force to be reckoned with if they worked together. Even Long Zhaotian and the others would have a headache if they were to face them alone. With such strength they could probably fight against the saint for a few moves. "Let's work together," Yenryu said. However, Lin Xian shook his head. "You should rest for a while. Let me handle them." He stood out and didn't intend to work together with Yenryu. It seemed that he wanted to fight the 6 experts alone. What? He wants to fight alone, but he wants to give us a handicap? The 6 people in front of them were stunned. Among them, Bei Sanxing and the others sneered. The Vermilion Bird Saintess sneered. Where did this idiot come from? However, what surprised them was that Yenryu actually retreated, as if he wasn't worried at all. Their hearts skipped a beat. Who is this person? Is he also a terrifying existence? But I don't know such a mysterious person. Come, let me see what you 6 shameless people are capable of. How dare you work together to bully my companions? He took a step forward and a domineering aura rose from his body. The Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others frowned. This person has such a terrifying aura. He's probably not a simple person. But so what? With the 6 of them working together, no matter how strong he is, they would still dare to fight him. However, Lu Mu's eyelids twitched and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. This scene reminded him of someone. "I withdraw from this battle," Lu Mu said. "What?" The Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others were stunned. Bei Sanxing said, "Lu Mu, what are you doing? Are you afraid?" "No, I just don't want to fight anymore. It's meaningless. I'm going to explore other places." Lu Mu turned and left. The Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others were stunned. Did Lu Mu recognize him? But who is he? Who can make Lu Mu leave? "You want to leave? Did I allow you to leave?" Lin Xian snorted. He didn't know if Lu Mu recognized him, but he didn't plan to stop. Lu Mu was stunned. He frowned and said, "It was my fault for attacking you." He pulled out the 4 laws from his body and returned them to Lin Xian and Yenryu. "I don't want to be your enemy." This scene stunned the Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others. "God, what's going on?" Lu Mu pulled out 2 laws from his body? Is he begging for mercy? They couldn't believe it. After all, this was Lu Mu. Although he was only ranked 9th on the Abyss list, it was rumored that he fought with Yan Nantian when he fell into the Abyss. At that time, Yan Nantian had just finished the test. He fought with Lu Mu and both of them were tied. After that, Yan Nantian's strength improved by leaps and bounds, reaching an unbelievable level. However, one could imagine that Lu Mu was also very terrifying. Even if he wasn't as strong as Yan Nantian, he wasn't far off. But now Lu Mu was begging for mercy. He was begging for mercy from a mysterious stranger. Chapter 33:16. They even suspected that it was Yan Nan Lin Xian who took the 4 laws and gave them to Yan Ruyu. However, since you've injured my woman, you'll have to take a hit from me. He struck out with his palm. Boom. Lu Mu was hit and flew back while vomiting blood. His body cracked and disappeared in the air. Yan Ruyu felt warmth in her heart. The Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden and the others were stunned. However, they were awakened by Lin Xian's cold-killing intent. Damn it, let's kill him together. The Vermilion Bird Saintess's face darkened. Although Lu Mu had left and his actions had shocked them, they did not think that the person in front of them was worthy of their fear. If the 5 of them worked together, they could still take him down. Therefore, the 5 of them attacked crazily. Their auras instantly rose. Hee, let's see what qualifications you have to scare Bei Sansheng away. Sima Su sneered and walked out. His palm was like a heavenly blade. With a boom, he slashed forward. It directly cut through the void. He was also an expert and he did not think that Lu Mu was weak. Now that Lu Mu had escaped, he felt humiliated. Therefore, he had to quickly deal with the person in front of him. Looking at Sima Su, Lin Xian's expression was cold. A terrifying flame bloomed from his body and he soared into the sky. In the next moment, he threw out a punch. Boom. The law blade was shattered by a punch. Sima Su was stunned. He did not expect the opponent's body to be so terrifying. Buzz. Lin Xian's big hand grabbed Sima Su and pulled with force. A miserable cry rang out. Sisu's body was actually torn into 2 halves. Since you don't want to beg for mercy, then die. Lin Xian's cold voice rang out. He could let Lu Mu live, but that did not mean that he could let the others go. Sima Su screamed like a madman, causing the people behind to be even more shocked. Not good, this person is terrifying. Quickly, let's work together. The Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden and the others did not dare to be careless and attacked crazily. Lin Xian was also enraged. He took a step forward and the flames on his body burned fiercely. It turned into a sea of fire and spread out. On his body there was the image of a flame giant. It raised its head and roared. Flaming sword chi flew out from the giant and slashed forward. In the blink of an eye, the remaining 5 members of the Vermilion Bird were completely separated. Not good. The 5 people's faces changed. Originally they planned to attack together, but they didn't expect the other party to be so strong. The sword chi made their hair stand on end. They could only attack crazily, shattering the sword chi first before converging. However, Lin Xian didn't give them a chance. After separating the 5 of them with the sword chi, he made his move. Using Dragon Step, he quickly charged towards Sorrow 3 Lives. This person was previously injured, and his strength was the weakest among the 5. Therefore, Lin Xian had to be dealt with first. In an instant, he appeared in front of Sorrow 3 Lives. Not good. Bei Sansheng's expression changed and then he became angry. What was the meaning of this? Underestimating him? They had gone too far. Sorrow 3 Lives immediately used the Great Compassion mantra. A strange voice came out of her mouth, and the world was incomparably miserable. It wanted to make people commit suicide. What a strange melody. Lin Xian frowned after hearing it. If one listened to it too much, they would definitely lose their will. Immediately, he shouted coldly, and the great dragon sword soul in his body roared, releasing dragon-shaped sword chi that directly enveloped him. It completely isolated all the Great Compassion mantra. At the same time, his palms slapped down. Boom. The demonic disc of destruction directly smashed Sorrow 3 Lives into pieces. The other party wanted to escape, but his soul was pierced by Lin Xian's sword. With a scream, Sorrow 3 Lives' soul was destroyed. Before he died, he finally knew why Lu Mu wanted to escape. The other party was too strong. Damn it, is Sorrow 3 Lives dead? The Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden and the others were horrified. They couldn't sense the other party's aura. What was going on? Winter night. At this moment, Ming Wang Dong roared. He formed a seal with his palms, opened his mouth and spat out a storm. The terrifying laws of wind danced, freezing everything. The flaming sword chi was frozen, and the monstrous sea of fire was extinguished. In the next moment they saw Sorrow 3 Lives' corpse being torn into pieces. His soul had been destroyed. He was dead. Was he really dead? Their scalps went numb and they attacked crazily. This time the 4 of them were very fast. They finally joined forces and launched a terrifying attack. Facing the 4 of them, Lin Xian didn't dodge at all, nor did he retreat. Instead he took a step forward. His powerful physique crushed the void and cracked the ground. He stretched out his palms and 2 fire dragons flew out from his palms. Brr. The dragon's roar resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The 2 fire dragons circled incomparably and knocked away the 4's divine abilities. The 4 of them flew backward and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Their faces were filled with fear. How was this possible? The other party had injured the 4 of them by himself. Who was this person? What kind of physique was this? Who were you? Who exactly were you? Why do you want to know who I am? Lin Xian formed a seal with his palms, and a formation flew out from his body, enveloping the world. In the next moment, the flames on his face disappeared, revealing his true appearance. Not only that, but the flames on his body also changed. They were no longer fiery red, but golden. A golden body appeared in front of everyone. These flames. His face. This aura. This was the successor of the 9 sons. At this moment, the vermilion bird Holy Maiden and the others said in their hearts. This was the appearance of the 9 sons' divine body they had seen before. Impossible, the successor of the 9 sons was already dead. How could he appear here? Who exactly were you? Who told you that I was dead? Did you see it with your own eyes? Lin Xian sneered. His body swayed and he instantly appeared in front of Ming Wangdong. He slapped out with his golden hand. Ming Wangdong was scared out of his wits. Ice wings appeared on his back, and ice armor appeared on his body. An ice scepter appeared in his hand. With a wave of the scepter, a huge ice wall formed in front of him. The law of ice danced. It was used to resist Lin Xian's fist. With a loud bang, a violent tremor sounded. Cracks appeared on the ice wall and then it collapsed. Ming Wangdong was also sent flying by the huge force and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, at this moment he used the ice on the ground and in the sky to form a new divine ability. A seal. The space in front of him was completely frozen, forming an ice crystal world. Lin Xian's body was also frozen. Seeing this, Ming Wangdong's lips curled up into a smile. He didn't care about wiping the blood on his body and he shouted coldly. Break. Crack, 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 crack. Everything in the ice crystal world was shattered. This kind of great divine ability was too terrifying. Everything that was sealed in ice was turned into ashes with this sound. The space around Lin Xian was shattered. His body was also affected by the divine ability, and it shook violently. However, the shaking soon calmed down. Chapter 33:17. How could this be? Ming Wangdong was stunned. How could Lin Fan be unharmed by his superpower? The others were also stunned. They knew about the Ice Seal superpower. They had even seen it with their own eyes. Ming Wangdong had frozen 3 half-sages. When the Ice Seal world was broken, the 3 half-sages were also torn apart. Even their souls were destroyed. But now, such a terrifying superpower had lost its effect. Lin Xian's body was burning with flames, melting all the ice. He looked forward and sneered. It's a good superpower, but you're too weak. Let me tell you how to use this superpower. Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul roared and started to use the superpower. Lin Xian stomped his feet. Suddenly the earth was covered in flames, forming a golden sea of fire. In an instant, the sea of fire enveloped Ming Wangdong. Ming Wangdong screamed crazily. The ice armor on his body released an icy aura, trying to resist. But soon he was burned and turned into snow. He melted on the ground and was then steamed. Explode. With a cold shout, all the flames in the sea of fire in front of him roared and exploded. That power caused everything to turn into ashes. The effect was similar to the previous ice seal, but the ice had turned into flames. Damn it. Block it for me. Ming Wangdong roared crazily. 3 ice crystals appeared beside him. These 3 ice crystals were extremely white and formed a triangle to protect him. He wanted to resist the power, but in the next moment, the 3 ice crystals exploded under the power of the flames. Ming Wangdong's body was also torn into pieces. His soul was also shattered in an instant. With another move, Ming Wangdong was destroyed. The remaining 3 went crazy. They finally believed that the person in front of them was the successor of the 9 sons. Although they didn't know why he was still alive, he was too terrifying. Run. The vermilion bird saintess screamed and fled. She wanted to announce to the world that the successor of the 9 sons was still alive. This was definitely an earth-shattering news. Want to escape? Stay. Lin Xian snorted. He waved his hand and a black spear appeared. He waved his arm and 3 terrifying black torrents shot forward. Ping ping ping. The vermilion bird saintess and the other 2 stopped in midair. They looked down at their bodies. A black shadow appeared in their hearts. They had been pierced through. They were nailed to death in the void. The great, great spear of destruction. They said these words with great difficulty. Then they tilted their heads and stopped breathing. That's right, the great spear of destruction. The great demon's great destruction spear fell into the void. For the next 3 years, it was covered by an endless amount of demonic qi. No one dared to approach it. In the end he was taken away by Lin Xian. This was a vicious weapon that had been stained with the blood of countless saints. Its power was extremely great. Back then it had posed a huge threat to Lin Xian. If not for the fact that Lin Xian possessed the great dragon sword spirit, it would have been difficult for him to withstand the great destruction spear. The great spear of destruction could even kill a saint. How could the three of them block it? It was settled. Behind him, Yen Ryu also walked up. She was also incomparably shocked. She didn't expect that his strength had already reached such a level. Right now, your strength is much stronger than when you were fighting against the great demon. I'm really looking forward to seeing Yan Nanshan's expression when he sees you. He will definitely be shocked. Lin Xian said. However, I'm looking forward to fighting with him. I want to see how strong the successor of a great emperor is. Let's go. Lin Xian obtained the chains of law from these people and flew to the next palace. At the same time, outside the demon cultivation valley, the Vermilion Bird Palace elders' faces changed. In the next moment they roared at the sky. Oh, damn it. Who was it? Who dared to kill the Vermilion Bird Palace Saintess? They roared like crazy. The surrounding people were all stunned. What's going on? Was the Vermilion Bird Saintess killed? Heavens! Who did it? Was it the Cloud Sky Saint? Or Long Zhaotian? They didn't know, but they could see that the 6 figures of law in the valley below had disappeared. It was those 2 people. It shouldn't be. 2 against 6 and they were still completely annihilated. It was too shocking. Wait, one of them had escaped and the other was still alive. They had to find out who did it. The Vermilion Bird Palace elders roared like crazy. The elders trembled. They had no choice but to enter the valley below. One of them had already started to move. His body flashed and light filled the sky as he charged down. However, he was quickly pushed back by an aura. Once the demon cultivation valley opened, it would become a world of its own. In less than a month's time, those outside couldn't enter. They would either be killed or thrown out. Other than that, there was no other choice. Damn it, this is too damn it. The Vermilion Bird Palace elders were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. Originally, they wanted to use the demon cultivation valley to restrict others. But now they were the unlucky ones. In the valley, a person quickly threw a shield. Everywhere he passed, countless trees grew, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. He was like a demon, completely blocking the path and space. However, very quickly, a terrifying vibration came from behind. The ground cracked open and a biting cold saber light shone, cutting all the trees to pieces. The figures behind him were extremely fast. At the same time, a roar sounded. Northern Devil, you can't escape. The person running in front was the Northern Devil. At this moment, his face was gloomy, and his body was surrounded by the law of wood. The surrounding trees all seemed to listen to his orders. He began to attack. However, the people that were chasing after him were simply too valiant. Even he was unable to withstand them. That was because the one chasing him was a man covered in scales, with boundless strength, Long Zhaotian. The other person was covered in white light like a celestial, Zhao Wuliang. The last one was abnormally ferocious. He had 9 heads and each of them was extraordinarily mighty. He was a prodigy of the 9-headed lion race. His strength didn't seem to be any weaker than Zhao Wuliang. The other person was riding the waves, revealing a ferocious shark head. Fish scales flickered on his body, and his eyes emitted a biting cold light. He was Black Shark of the Shark King race. 4 top experts surrounded the Northern Devil. If it was a one-on-one fight, the Northern Devil would definitely be able to fight against any one of them. But now, 4 against 1, he was simply no match. He could only run for his life. Fortunately, he had the 10,000 devil body and he was also a wood martial artist. His vitality was strong and he could control the surrounding plants. Otherwise he would have been killed many times over. But even so, he was still no match for them. If he couldn't escape, then it was only a matter of time before he was killed. Damn it, he really deserved to die. Chapter 33:18. Indeed, if anyone else was here they would be shocked. Because they couldn't believe it. Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian as well as 2 other top experts would team up. This was beyond everyone's expectations. You can't escape, roaming dragon. Long Zhaotian roared and the dragon blood in his body surged. A dragon shadow rushed out in an instant. This power was too strong. It swept through everything and nothing could stop it. 10,000 would descends. Feeling the terrifying power behind him, the northern demon flew while using his mystique. A sky-piercing divine tree appeared in the sky and quickly descended, blocking his path. It blocked roaming dragon. There was a loud explosion, but at this time the other three attacked. Black Shark brought the seawater forward, forming a whirlpool. Did he want to swallow the sky-piercing divine tree? The nine-headed lion's 9 heads roared. His roar shook heaven and earth, affecting people's souls. The northern demon was affected. His body trembled and he slowed down. Zhao Wuliang took the chance and slashed out. The flower addict's 33 blade slashes were sharp enough to destroy a sky. Boom boom boom. The northern demon spat out blood and flew back. There were many cracks on his body, but his 10,000 demon body healed quickly. He gritted his teeth and flew forward again. However, this was the 5th time he healed. His power and aura had decreased too much. If he couldn't shake these people off, his life would be in danger. I told you, you can't escape. Long Zhaoyin's group chased after him. The reason why the 4 of them had joined hands was so that they could sweep through everything. They wanted to eliminate the other people who were a threat to them. 3 days later, the North Demon stopped because he was stopped by someone. Long Zhaotian, Zhao Wuliang, the 9-headed lion, and Black Shark surrounded him. Escape? Let's see how you can escape this time. The 4 of them teamed up, and the laws on their bodies intertwined to form a domain that covered the sky. The northern demon's expression turned ugly. It seemed that he could only fight to the death. He waved his hand and the laws of wood floated. Countless trees around him grew wildly. A sky-piercing divine tree appeared behind him again. The 10,000 wood flower bloomed. 7-flower formation. The green nocturnal battle armor appeared on the northern demon's body. The heaven-reaching divine tree on his back began to bloom, forming a terrifying flower. Countless flower petals floated around them, forming a terrifying formation that absorbed the power of the 4 people. Long Zhaotian shouted coldly. Dragon fighting in the wild, a giant dragon phantom appeared on his body. It roared and rushed forward, able to destroy everything. The world's 8 blades. Zhao Wuliang brandished his long saber. The piercingly cold saber light soared into the sky. Lion roar divine skill. The 9-headed lion king let out a roar. Terrifying divine fire surged forward. Black Shark blended into the void and carried out the assassination. The 7 flowers formation was instantly shattered when the 4 top experts attacked. The heavenly tree behind them also emitted a rumbling sound. Many cracks appeared on the divine tree, but the huge divine flower still hung down, scattering its pollen forward. The pollen was extremely poisonous. Long Zhaotian and the other 3's faces changed as they hurriedly defended themselves. However, the attacks from the 4 of them caused the petals to tremble repeatedly. Many cracks appeared on the northern demon's body. He spat out a mouthful of blood, but he could still hold on. However, at that moment, a shadow appeared behind him. A person held a shadow dagger and slashed at his head. With a splurt, blood spurted out. The northern demon was scared out of his wits. He used all his strength to dodge. However, his neck was still cut in half. Just a little bit more and his head would have been sent flying. A large crack appeared on the azure nocturnal armor. The myriad wood divine vine. The northern demon roared angrily, and his myriad demon body began to heal. At the same time he counterattacked. The branches of the myriad demon tree drooped down and turned into 2 divine whips that lashed out behind him. The void was shattered in an instant. Clang. Black Shark raised the shadow dagger in his hand to block, but he was sent flying by a force. However, it seemed that he was not seriously injured. After that attack, Black Shark was slightly injured, and the other 3 were knocked back. However, the northern demon was seriously injured. His head was almost cut off. Seeing that, Zhao Wuliang and the others sneered. The northern demon would definitely die today. They estimated that they would be able to kill him in less than 5 moves. As expected in the second move, the northern demon was even more seriously injured. A large crack appeared on half of his body, and he was almost cut in half. In the third move, the northern demon was cut in half. He healed again and his face was even paler. Let's see how many more times you can survive. The 4 of them attacked again. The battle was so terrifying that the surrounding people all fled. At the same time, the 2 figures flew over anxiously. Actually, they had sensed a few powerful forces a long time ago. They quickly flew over with their shields. It was obvious. This was a huge battle. There were several forces involved. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. One of them was very familiar to Lin Xian. He could even see a huge tree flashing in the distance, and its terrifying phantom covered the void. The heavenly tree. That was the northern demon's mystique. What was going on? Was the northern demon being hunted? Let's go and take a look. Yen Ryu also frowned. She and Lin Xian quickly flew forward. When they arrived nearby, Lin Xian used his soul to capture the situation in front of him. His expression immediately changed. It was a siege again. It was very similar to the scene he encountered before. But there was a difference. Previously, the Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden and the others were considered to be on the second level. But now, the ones attacking the northern demon were Long Zhaotian, Zhao Wuliang, and the others. They were definitely the top prodigies on the first level. Damn it. Lin Xian was instantly enraged. He realized that the northern demon's situation was very bad. Lin Xian shouted coldly and sent out a vermilion bird. It rushed down. Yen Ryu stretched out her pure white palm and pressed down. A black hole appeared in the void and kept shattering. Boom. Boom. Below, Long Zhaotian, Zhao Wuliang, and the others sneered. Ida. They could see that the northern demon was about to die. They estimated that they could kill him in 2 more moves. But at that moment their expressions changed. 2 terrifying attacks surged towards them. Get lost. The 4 of them turned around and roared crazily. They attacked with their mystiques and collided with the 2 attacks. The sky was torn apart and violent energy surged. The northern demon retreated. Long Zhaotian and the others were also forced back. Oh, who dares to interfere in our business? Their gazes swept across the area. Soon they saw 2 figures descending from the sky. Yen Ryu, it's you. Long Zhaotian and the others recognized Yen Ryu first. But the other person made them frown. They couldn't see his face clearly. 4 against 1. You guys are really shameless. Yen Ryu snorted coldly. Chapter 33:19. He was heavily injured, but fortunately he came in time. Any later and the northern demon's life would have been in danger. They're very strong. The northern demon said. He did not recognize Lin Xian at first. Hurry up and leave. He did not look like he wanted to fight. After all, he was heavily injured. Although there were 2 of them, the other side still had the advantage. Don't worry, recover well. Leave this to me. Lin Xian patted the northern demon's shoulder and injected some energy into him. Then he took out a bottle of pills and handed it to him. Then he walked over and stood beside Yen Ryu. Leave Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang to me. You have no problem with the other 2, right? No. Yen Ryu shook her head. Her eyes were cold. It was obvious that this peerless beauty was angry. On the other side, Long Zhaotian, Zhao Wuliang, and the other 3 were stunned. What did they hear? These 2 wanted to fight the 4 of them 1-on-2? What a joke. The 4 of them sneered. They were the top elites. They had never feared anyone in a 1-on-1 fight. Now that it was 2 against 1, they could easily kill the other party. One had to know that the 4 of them had only chased after the northern demon as a precaution. If they really fought, the 2 of them could kill the other party. Although these 2 were strong, they were probably only on par with the northern demon. If there were still people who did not know their limits, then they would kill them together. Zhao Wuliang sneered. Long Zhaotian and the other 2 nodded. Indeed, their goal this time was to kill the strong enemies. The northern demon was one, and Yen Ryu was naturally their target. As for the last mysterious person, although they did not know him, they would kill him together. You want to kill me? Let's see if you have the ability. Lin Xian took a step forward, and the flames on his body exploded. However, it was no longer gold or fiery red but pitch black. The ink-black flames burned fiercely. Lin Xian did not intend to reveal his true identity right now. Therefore, he used the great dragon sword soul to directly transform her flames. At this moment he was like a demon king looking down on everyone. Lin Xian and the great demon had fought a battle of life and death for half a year. He was very familiar with the others' mystiques. If he wanted to use the great dragon sword soul to evolve it, its power would definitely not be weaker than that of the great demon. What a terrifying demonic chi. Long Zhaotian and the rest frowned. Who was this person? Were they from the demon race? However, before they could think any further, a large black hand charged towards them, carrying with it a torrential hellfire. Immediately he formed a demonic disc that could destroy the world and struck out. The terrifying power shattered the void in front of him completely. That power enveloped Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang. Courting death. The 2 of them were enraged. The other party really dared to fight the 2 of them alone. What a joke. Get lost. Long Zhaotian was the first to get angry. He was one of the strongest dragons. He didn't even put Yan Nantian in his eyes, let alone this person in front of him. The scales on his body emitted an incomparably terrifying light. He punched out with a fist that was like a giant dragon streaking across the sky. Boom. The terrifying dragon collided with the world-destroying demonic plate, causing the heavens and earth to shatter. However, Long Zhaotian let out a muffled groan. Cracks had appeared on his fist. Bang bang bang. He retreated 3 steps and withdrew his fist. His eyes were filled with shock. The other party had actually injured him. How was this possible? Damn it, who exactly are you? The person who will kill you. Lin Xian's eyes exploded with a cold light. The black flames on his body danced. At this moment he was truly arrogant to the extreme. Courting death. Long Zhaotian was furious. Roaming dragon's body bloomed with light, forming an eagle that charged forward. It formed a peerless immortal light. Lin Xian laughed loudly. He was not afraid. The large black hand drew a circle in the air and instantly turned into a black hole. It swallowed the giant dragon. At the same time, his left hand struck out like a black sun and charged toward Zhao Wuliang. Zhao Wuliang frowned. He drew his long saber and slashed out. On the long saber there was a terrifying thunder law. It had the power to destroy everything. The saber collided with the black fist, causing an earth-shattering sound. The black fist was repelled. However, it instantly transformed into a palm and directly struck the lightning saber, breaking it in half. The terrifying power caused Zhao Wuliang to retreat a few steps. His face was gloomy. On the other side, Long Zhaotian was also fighting against the other party. He was also repelled. The 9-headed Lion King and He Sha were stunned. The other party really did it. With the power of one person he had repelled Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang. Who was this person? Could it be another kind of hidden saint? Haha, you guys are just SOSO. Unable to withstand a single blow. Lin Xian laughed loudly. He took a step forward and the black flames on his body covered the entire sky. Demon swallows the world. The flames turned into black holes one after another, enveloping Long Zhaotian and He Sha. At the same time, it also enveloped the 9-headed Lion King and Shadowless. Courting death. The 4 of them were completely enraged. Did the other party still want to attack the other 2? They charged forward madly. When Yen Ryu saw this scene she was also stunned. Then she shook her head slightly. This guy is really arrogant. He wants to fight against 4 of us? Well, I'll just watch. Originally, Yen Ryu wanted to use some of her trump cards. But now, it seemed that she was no longer needed. If there was really danger, it wouldn't be too late for her to make a move. So, she came in front of the Northern Demon. The Northern Demon's recovery was terrifying. So, his injuries were already healed. However, his strength had not recovered yet. He swallowed a pill and looked in front of him. The scene was extremely shocking. Who was this person? He could actually fight against 4 of them. One had to know that he was being chased by 4 people and was almost killed. Who was this person? The Northern Demon turned around and asked. Yen Ryu smiled. An old friend. You'll know after the fight. Old friend? The Northern Demon was stunned. It seemed that the other party was very close to Yen Ryu and should know him. But who was it? If it was an old friend they should be from the same world. But who could be so strong in that world? Yin Nantian was impossible. Then was it Yi Wudao? He thought of the holy body. He did have such power, but Yi Wudao did not have monstrous demonic qi. Was it Wuchen or the one from the Gu family? He shook his head. He couldn't think of it. It wasn't that he didn't think of Lin Xian, but he knew that Lin Xian had the 9-yang divine body. Previously, the news of the 9-yang divine body dying together with the demon had spread throughout the ancient path of stars. He would never have thought that it was Lin Xian. While the Northern Demon was puzzled, the battle in front of him was unusually intense. It was as if Lin Xian had turned into a demon king at this moment. He attacked without any reservations. The other 4 were furious and roaring. The 4 of them joined forces but they could only fight to a draw. They could not do anything to the other party. Chapter 33:20. When did such a terrifying monster appear on the ancient path of the starry sky? Why hadn't they heard anything about it? Moreover, looking at the demonic aura, they all thought that the great demon had been resurrected. Damn it, he must be related to the great demon. Even if he wasn't a great demon, he must be from the demon race. These people roared crazily. The 2 of you don't hold back anymore. Attack with all your might. Zhao Wuliang said coldly because he found that although the other party was attacking the 4 of them, he was constantly using killing moves on him. It made him break out in cold sweat. Zhao Wuliang was actually very depressed because not long ago, one of his clones was killed and his strength was greatly reduced. If he hadn't paid a huge price recently, his strength wouldn't have been able to recover. This made him gnash his teeth for a while. However, he still couldn't find out who killed his clone. Now he even encountered a demon-like figure. The recent emergence of strong geniuses shocked him. He was worried that he wouldn't be able to keep his position, so he roared angrily. He didn't want the others to hold back and kill the other party with all their might. He took the lead. A terrifying aura spread out from his body, and the law of thunder rushed into the clouds, forming a thundercloud in the sky. It emitted an extremely terrifying pressure. Boom boom boom. In the thundercloud, the law of order revolved and then descended. This was the lightning tribulation, and it struck directly at Lin Xian. Lin Xian laughed loudly. The flames on his body danced and turned into a black giant. It was like a demonic sound. He opened his mouth and swallowed all the lightning in the sky. Then he aimed at Zhao Wuliang and spat out. Endless lightning was spat out by him, and there was also the power of fire on it. It directly enveloped Zhao Wuliang. Zhao Wuliang screamed and was pierced by the lightning. He flew backward and his body was charred black. He was in an abnormally sorry state. Die for me. However, at this moment Long Xiaoyan's attack also arrived. His 5 fingers seemed to have turned into 5 divine swords with 5 types of laws on them. They were incomparably dazzling. In an instant they pierced through the void and directly enveloped Lin Xian. With a puff, he cut open the black flames on Lin Xian's body. He had succeeded. Seeing this scene, Long Xiaotian smiled, and the other 3 also heaved a sigh of relief. This attack would definitely be able to penetrate their opponent. Next, they would make their opponent suffer a fate worse than death. Clang. An earth-shattering sound rang out, but the faces of Long Xiaotian and the others turned ugly. The reason for that was because they discovered that there was no blood. In other words, even though Chu Feng had been knocked back, he was not injured. How was this possible? At this moment, their eyes were filled with fear. They couldn't defeat him. They found that they couldn't defeat him. Roaring divine art. A terrifying sound wave rushed forward, but it was shattered by the other party's palm. He Sha also silently appeared behind the other party. The shadow dagger in his hand slashed towards the other party's neck. Earlier, it was his sneak attack that had almost cut off the North Demon's head. But this time his arm was numb from the impact. He didn't hurt the other party either. This was definitely the body of a saint. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to be so strong. Black Shark screamed like a madman and wanted to retreat. In an instant he retreated from Lin Xian's side, but in the next moment he screamed. A pitch-black spear pierced through his body. Aisha screamed. How could this be? He had already merged with the void long ago. How did the other party find him? Buzz. The spear flashed and Heisha's body was torn into pieces. Blood dyed the ground red. A saint. Could it be a saint? At this moment Zhao Wuliang and the others were about to despair. There was actually a saint. Other than Cloud Sky Saint, were there other saints? Among them, Long Xiaotian looked at the black weapon and screamed in fear. The Spear of Annihilation. Could it be that you're really a great demon? You're not dead. They had seen the recording array of the battle between the Nine Suns successor and the Great Demon, so they naturally recognized the pitch-black weapon. The Spear of Annihilation? That was something that only the Great Demons could possess. Even if the person in front of them wasn't the one who died, he was probably a new Great Demon, right? Moreover, they felt that this Great Demon was even more terrifying than the previous one. What was going on? They didn't know anymore. Lin Xian held the Spear of Annihilation in his hand and charged out. A terrifying light tore through the void and charged towards Zhao Wuliang. Zhao Wuliang was scared out of his wits. The World's Edge 8 blades slashed out with saber light and cut through the void, but it was pierced through. The Spear of Annihilation knocked away his saber and pierced through his shoulder. He was nailed in the void. That ice-cold killing intent wanted to tear him into pieces. Explode. Zhao Wuliang gritted his teeth and his body split open to escape the attack. Run. They quickly retreated. Lin Xian sneered. You still want to run? Golden light appeared in his eyes and scattered into the void. Then the Spear of Annihilation stabbed out. Heisha screamed again. He was hit again. Soul Annihilation. The Spear of Annihilation danced and instantly destroyed his opponent's soul. A dignified peerless expert was killed so easily just like that. Seeing this scene, the other 3 fled like crazy. Buzz. Lin Xian threw the Spear of Annihilation, which instantly pierced through the 9-headed Lion King's body. The nine-headed Lion King trembled and its 9 heads roared at the sky. The terrifying roar shattered heaven and earth, but this sound wave could not do anything to Lin Xian. Lin Xian directly rushed over. His big hand tore apart the sound wave that filled the sky and slapped the other party into meat paste. He picked out the other party's soul and directly pierced it with the spear of annihilation. The 9-headed Lion King's soul let out a sharp cry, but it was carried by Lin Xian and directly charged at Zhao Wuliang again. Zhao Wuliang was scared out of his wits. He could no longer dodge this spear. There was no choice. The other party was too strong. When he did not use the spear of annihilation, they were not his match. Now that he took it out again, how could they resist such a peerless weapon? This was definitely the combat strength of a saint. At this moment, Zhao Wuliang was very decisive. He once again created a clone to die in his place. As for his real body, he burrowed into the ground and used the law of earth to escape. How could Lin Xian let him escape? With one strike he pierced through the ground and cut off Zhao Wuliang's path. Zhao Wuliang had no choice but to change his direction. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. Next he attacked several times. This made it so that Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian could not escape separately. They could only escape in the direction he chose. Lin Xian chased after them. The pursuit began again, but this time it was different. Lin Xian was chasing after Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian. Wherever he passed, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The others also saw this scene and their eyes almost popped out. Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian were escaping? Then who was attacking? Was it the Cloud Sky Saint? Heavens, the saint was going to start a massacre. For a moment they were terrified. Lin Xian did not kill them directly. He was like a cat playing with a mouse, constantly attacking and chasing after the two. Chapter 33:21. At that moment, Lin Xian's voice floated out from behind. What, are you in despair? When the 4 of you joined forces to hunt down the North Goblin, did you ever think that you would be hunted down like this one day? If you want to kill others, you have to be prepared to be killed. Lin Xian's mocking voice sounded. In front, everyone's expressions were ugly. Long Zhaotian's lungs were about to explode from anger. Damn it, I'll fight it out with you. Wah. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of dragon blood, which turned into a dragon saber. The dragon blood saber slashed down with monstrous killing intent and terrifying power. The sky was dyed red as the saber was split open. Lin Xian sneered and waved the spear of destruction to meet the attack. With a clanging sound, the dragon blood saber was pierced through. Long Zhaotian had another wound and he spat out blood and flew backward. He was truly in despair. He was no match for his opponent at all. Just now, 1/3 of his dragon blood had been sucked away. The dragon blood saber formed by the dragon's mystic technique could destroy everything. Could even threaten a saint. However, it was shattered by his opponent in one strike. It was not that he was too weak, but that the enemy was too strong. Especially the spear of destruction. That was a murderous weapon stained with the blood of countless saints. Perhaps only a true sacred artifact could fight against it. Therefore there was only one thing they could do now, and that was to escape with all their might. If they could escape the first stage, they would be able to save their lives. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days of pursuit. Lin Xian chased them for a total of 7 days. During these 7 days, Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian experienced what despair was and what a hellish life was. Their hair was disheveled and their eyes were bloodshot. To be honest, for a moment they even wanted to die just like that. However, very quickly, their hope was ignited because in front of them, 7 rays of light flickered. It was a figure with 7 laws. Who was it? It was either Cloud Sky Saint or Yan Nantian. They hurriedly flew in that direction, wanting to kill someone with a borrowed knife. At the very least, they had to block the demon behind them. 7 rays of light? Who was it? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, sneered, and chased after him. Now that he had 5 nomological laws, it was enough. Coupled with the great spear of destruction, what could Cloud Sky Saint do? He could still put up a fight. Up ahead, Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang sped up again. They passed through several mountain ranges and finally saw a figure in front of them. It was Yan Nantian. They were overjoyed and quickly rushed over. That's right, it was indeed Yan Nantian. Yan Nantian relied on the map in his hand and his own powerful strength to obtain 7 laws. It could be said that in the entire Devil Cultivation Valley, he was the person with the most laws. When he saw Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian walking towards him together, Yan Nantian was stunned. Could it be that the two of them wanted to join forces to kill him? The corner of his mouth curled up in disdain. Now, even if the two of them joined forces, he would not be afraid. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. The two of them didn't seem to be here to kill him. Instead, they seemed to be running for their lives. It was because he discovered that the two's faces were pale, their eyes completely red. There were injuries on their bodies, the blood even more horrifying. Someone was chasing after these two. Who was it? Yin Nantian was extremely surprised. Other than him, perhaps only Cloud Sky Saint could hunt down the two of them. Could it be Cloud Sky Saint? Was Cloud Sky Saint finally going to make a move? Yin Nantian's gaze was solemn. However, he was soon stunned because he discovered that behind Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang was not Cloud Sky Saint, but a pitch-black figure that looked like a demon. You want to escape? Can you escape? That person replied coldly. He instantly streaked across the void and charged towards the two of them. He gently waved the weapon in his hand, forming a terrifying light that blasted Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang away. Yin Nantian, this person is also here to kill you. At that moment, Zhao Wuliang hurriedly exclaimed. He wanted to drag Yin Nantian down with him. That was the only way they could survive. Yin Nantian was stunned. A wisp of aura appeared on his body. He snorted coldly and took a step forward. Although he did not know who this person was, he really wanted to fight him. Scram! Lin Xian shouted coldly and the Great Destruction Spear flew out. The target was Yin Nantian. Yin Nantian's face instantly darkened. The other party actually dared to attack him? An incomparable light burst out from his body. However, in an instant his expression changed and he was blasted away. The light on his body was about to shatter. Boom! Yin Nantian landed on a mountain range in the distance and shattered all 5 peaks. What? Yin Nantian could not block it? When Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang saw this scene, their faces turned extremely pale. This person was too powerful, wasn't he? The mountain range in the distance shattered and a figure rushed out. Yin Nantian's expression was cold, and his eyes were like divine swords that swept across the surroundings. Damn it, he really deserved to die. The other party actually dared to injure him. This was unforgivable. Yin Nantian, be careful. That person is using the Great Destruction Spear. It's not an ordinary weapon. Long Zhaotian also reminded him. What? The Great Destruction Spear? Yin Nantian was stunned. Wasn't that the weapon of the Great Demon? How could the person in front of him have it? Moreover, the person in front of him had a monstrous demonic qi. Could it be that Demeng was not dead? What about the successor of the 9 sons? Was he dead? He thought of many things in an instant. Soon he shook his head. It was impossible. The great demon was dead. There was no way he could be alive. The aura of the person in front of him was different from that of the great demon. He was much stronger than before. Could it be that a new great demon had appeared? Damn it, how could this be? His expression was uncertain. At that moment, Lin Xian attacked again. The Great Destruction Spear pierced through the sky and transformed into an endless black dragon. Its monstrous aura tore the void apart and instantly pierced towards Yin Nantian. So what if the great demon has revived? I'm not afraid of anyone now. Even if it's a saint, I can step on him. Yin Nantian's voice was grand, and the aura on his body suddenly exploded. The phantoms of the 4 divine beasts quickly circled around him. Buzz! Among them, the vermilion bird phantoms opened their mouths and spat out a sky full of raging flames. They danced quickly like the sunset. That red light contained a terrifying power that could incinerate all living things. The terrifying blazing fire instantly enveloped the Great Destruction Spear. However, Yin Nantian did not stop. The Great Destruction Spear was a murderous weapon. Its power was naturally terrifying, so he attacked again. After the vermilion bird, the azure dragon also attacked, spitting out waves that filled the sky. The black tortoise was as heavy as a mountain, and it pressed down like a heavenly eye. The white tiger phantoms were even more terrifying. They mainly attacked and they transformed into a peerless blade that descended from the sky. Its power was simply too powerful. It was much more terrifying than Zhao Wuliang's World's Edge 8 blades. Boom! A violent explosion sounded. The Great Destruction Spear was simply too terrifying, and it was being used by Lin Xian at that moment. Lin Xian's physical strength, coupled with the Great Destruction Spear, was absolutely terrifying. In an instant, it pierced through the sky full of light and raging flames. Chapter 33-22. Yin Nantian's expression changed and he quickly dodged. On the other side, Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang felt their scalps go numb. It seemed that even Yin Nantian might not be able to subdue the other party. The two of them had better run away quickly. Therefore the two of them turned around and fled. Where could they run to? Lin Xian waved the Great Destruction Spear, drawing an eternal black crack that directly swallowed the two of them. Then he reached out his demonic hand and grabbed the nomological laws on the two of them. With a forceful tug, all 5 nomological laws were removed from their bodies. Miserable screams were heard. The two of them were in excruciating pain. At this moment, the black hand slapped down again, shattering their bodies. It's over. Are the two of them going to die here? Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuyang's faces were filled with despair and regret. However, at this moment Yin Nantian made his move. A red feather appeared in his hand. He waved it gently and the terrifying flames exploded again. This time the power was even stronger than before. It directly melted the black hand and separated everything. How dare you stop me? Lin Xian turned his head and looked at Yin Nantian with a cold expression. Not only will I stop you but I'll also kill you. Yin Nantian was also angry. The other party's domineering attitude and powerful strength made him very unhappy and a little uneasy. Such a person had to be dealt with quickly to avoid endless trouble. Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuyang took advantage of this opportunity to quickly escape with the blood mist wrapped around them. Lin Xian ignored them. Although the two of them were powerful and invincible in the eyes of outsiders, they were no different from ants in his eyes. They posed no threat to him at all. However, Yin Nantian in front of him was not necessarily the same. The other party was the successor of a great emperor and had many tricks up his sleeve. It would not be easy to completely kill him. However, this time was also a good time to find out how strong Yin Nantian had become. Since you want to fight, then let's fight. Lin Xian snorted coldly and fixed the Great Destruction Spear in the void. With a boom, the void within 1,000,000 miles shattered rapidly. It could not withstand this attack at all. No one can stop me. Yin Nantian was also extremely confident. The fiery red feather in his hand bloomed with incomparable brilliance. The vermilion bird divine feather? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He could see that the feather was very mysterious and had terrifying Dao runes on it. It should be one of the vermilion bird's treasures. Who would have thought that it would end up in Yin Nantian's hands? Looks like the Vermilion Bird Palace truly valued Yin Nantian to the extreme. The vermilion bird divine feather waved and suddenly the entire world trembled. Flames danced about, turning into an enormous vermilion bird. It soared into the sky, spreading its wings and covering heaven and earth. This scene was simply too terrifying. Everyone in the Valley of Devil Cultivation saw this. They raised their heads and looked at the sky, feeling incomparably terrified. Who was it? Was it Yin Nantian? The gigantic vermilion bird also had the law of fire. It instantly enveloped Lin Xian. That unparalleled power could suppress everything. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The black flames on his body also burned fiercely. At this moment he fully released his 9-yang divine body. Like a black god of war, the Great Destruction Spear in his hand danced wildly. Boom, 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 boom. Hundreds of thousands of thunderclaps rang out. Countless lightning bolts surrounded the sky. The Great Destruction Spear carried with it a terrifying law of fire. In the blink of an eye, it turned into an enormous black dragon and collided with the vermilion bird's phantom. The two behemoths were crazily fighting. That power spread throughout the land. Even the people outside the Valley of Devil Cultivation were stunned. They naturally felt the terrifying aura. Who was fighting? Was it Yin Nantian and the Cloud Sky Saint? No, why do I feel a monstrous demonic aura? Could it be a demonic creature that originally existed in the valley? They were all stunned. The people of the Vermilion Bird Palace also had grave expressions because they felt the aura of the Vermilion Bird Divine Feather. It was obvious that one of them was Yin Nantian. But who was the other person? They didn't know. The battle was extremely intense. The two exchanged more than 100 blows. The Vermilion Bird Phantom was torn apart, and Lin Xian was incomparably powerful. He charged over with the Great Destruction Spear. He was too powerful. With one strike, the void around Yin Nantian quickly shattered. Yin Nantian had no choice but to form a hand seal and enlarge the Vermilion Bird Divine Feather in his hand. It was like a wall of fire blocking in front of him. With a clang, the Great Destruction Spear collided with the Vermilion Bird Divine Feather, making a shocking sound. That sound wave was simply too terrifying. Everything in the surroundings was quickly reduced to ashes by the sound wave. Even Yin Nantian's body trembled violently. Many cracks appeared on his body. Ah! He roared angrily. The phantoms of the 4 divine beasts on his body instantly enveloped him. The cracks on his body quickly healed. He raised his head and looked forward. Suddenly his pupils shrank. Damn it, the other party seemed to be fine. Under such a powerful sound wave, the other party's body didn't crack? What kind of physique was that? A supreme demonic physique? How could it be so strong? Although he didn't have a bloodline physique, he had a great inheritance. After the inheritance, he cultivated the great emperor physique, which was also incomparably powerful. However, at that moment in front of the sound wave, his physique had cracked, but the other party was unharmed. There were only 2 possibilities. First, the other party's physique far surpassed his of the same level. Second, the other party's physique surpassed his in terms of cultivation level. That was the physique of a sage. Could it be that the other party was really a sage? Was there another hidden sage other than the Cloud Sky Sage? Yan Nanshan's expression was a little ugly. However, he soon snorted coldly. So what if the other party was a sage? This was a world of its own. He had 7 nomological laws. Even if the other party was a sage, he could still kill them. Sun and moon splitting the sky. Yan Nantian roared angrily. The power on his body suddenly transformed into the sun and moon. They kept spinning above his head. The 2 powers seemed to be able to split the sky and earth. The sun and moon splitting the sky was a kind of great mystical power that caused the world to fantasize. Yan Nantian used this mystical power to attack Lin Xian. Chaotic Demon Fist. Lin Xian held the Great Destruction Spear in one hand and kept waving his other fist, throwing out countless fist shadows. Each of them was like a black sun that collided with the sun and moon. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xian's 9 yang divine physique was definitely not inferior to a sage's physique. His power was terrifying. Coupled with the black phantoms that he deliberately created, it was really terrifying to the extreme. For a moment the 2 were in a stalemate. Lin Xian was surprised. As expected of the great emperor's successor. Interesting. One had to know that Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang couldn't resist his punch at all. However, the other party was actually able to block it. Moreover, it looked like he was handling it with ease. One had to admit that the great emperor's mystical power was indeed terrifying. Chapter 33-23. But thinking about it, a great emperor was a powerful existence that could suppress the universe. Every great emperor was the most powerful and terrifying expert in the world. How could his inheritance be weak? Yan Nantian was also shocked. The inheritance of a great emperor was so terrifying that he had never failed. Especially in recent years, his strength had improved by leaps and bounds, reaching an unbelievable level. He was confident that he could kill even a saint. But now he couldn't do anything to the other party. What kind of power did the other party have? A world-destroying strike. At this moment Lin Xian attacked again. This time he used the Great Spear of Destruction. The demonic chi on it surged into the sky, transforming into a millstone of destruction. This was also a great demon's ability. When Lin Xian had used it previously, he had beaten Long Zhaotian and Yan Nantian until they screamed in pain. But now, he had used the power of the Great Spear of Destruction to evolve it. Its power was definitely more terrifying than before. Sure enough, the Great Spear of Destruction fell with the phantom of the world-destroying demonic millstone. With a boom, it sent the sun and moon splitting open, the heavens flying. The 2 of them fought earth-shattering, but there were 3 figures hiding in the dark, secretly observing. These 3 Taoists were not together. Instead, they stood in 3 different directions and were wary of each other. The auras of the 3 of them were incomparably hazy, but they were also very powerful. They didn't care about the energy storm at all. The laws on their bodies flickered with incomparable light, forming vortexes one after another. Yan Nantian was indeed the successor of a great emperor. He was actually so powerful. But who was the person holding the Great Spear of Destruction? A saint's body. Could it be that he was the same as us and had his saint's clone forcefully taken away? The last person only narrowed his eyes and stared at Yan Nantian. Sun and moon splitting open the heavens. So he had obtained the inheritance of great Emperor Hongwu. If this guy grew up, he would be incredible. The 3 figures were like ghosts hiding in the void, silently watching. The battle between Lin Xian and Yan Nantian was getting more and more intense. The 2 of them had exchanged more than 1,000 moves. All kinds of divine abilities emerged one after another. Yan Nantian enlarged the vermilion bird divine feather and turned it into a flaming divine sword to fight back. In the end, Yan Nantian used the great emperor's secret technique to reach Lin Xian's side. With a slash of his sword, he slashed apart the demonic chi on Lin Xian's body. It landed on Lin Xian's body. With a clang, the long sword pierced into his flesh. However, Lin Xian used his powerful strength to clamp it down. He did not let the vermilion bird divine feather sink into it again. Are you finally going to fight me? But do you think you can run away after injuring me? Lin Xian smiled. Even though he was injured, so what? The great spear of destruction in his hand pierced through Yan Nanshan's body. Blood splattered everywhere. Both of them were injured. However, Yan Nantian was clearly more seriously injured. His body had been pierced through. Lin Xian only suffered a small cut. Lin Xian snorted coldly as the illusions of the four divine beasts pulled him away from the great destruction spear. At the same time, he withdrew the vermilion bird divine feather. After retreating far away, the wound on Yan Nanshan's body began to heal. Countless laws shrouded the wound. Lin Xian's body shook as well. The laws of wood, the art of longevity, and the power of the nine yang divine body quickly healed his wound. You're quite strong. Unfortunately, I didn't use my full strength just now. After Yan Nanshan's wound healed, his expression turned cold. 9 ancient runes appeared on his body. The runes shone brightly and completely enveloped his body, increasing his defensive power once again. The 9 Emperor runes could not only defend but also attack. They had endless magical uses. Even a true sage would have to be careful when facing them. Is that so? Do you think I've used my full strength? Lin Xian smiled. Inside his body, the great dragon sword soul roared again. His combat power increased again. The great destruction spear charged forward. This time its power was doubled. Yan Nantian also waved the 9 runes and charged forward. Clang. The sound of the collision was even more terrifying than before. At this moment, even the expressions of the 3 figures hiding in the void changed and they quickly retreated. Damn it, what's going on? These 2 people didn't use their full strength before. Their strength was so terrifying that the 3 of them were extremely shocked. At the same time, another figure came and watched silently. His aura was even more terrifying because he was the Cloud Sky Saint. The Cloud Sky Saint's gaze was firmly fixed on the 2 figures below. He had no intention of attacking. After hundreds of moves, Yan Nanshan's expression turned ugly. He had used the 9 Emperor runes but they were still evenly matched. Damn it, how was this possible? The Dharma treasure in his opponent's hand was also so terrifying. What kind of secret technique did the other party use to be able to be mentioned in the same breath as it? Emperor runes? Not bad indeed. Lin Xian sneered. The great dragon sword soul roared again and attacked 81 times in a row. The terrifying black light turned into a torrent and blasted the 9 Emperor runes. Intense collisions sounded. In the end, something shocking happened. A crack appeared on one of the Emperor runes. Damn it, how was this possible? Yan Nanshan's eyes widened in disbelief. Those were Emperor runes. Although he couldn't use all of his power in his current realm, just the power he used was enough to contend with a sage. The other party had actually broken it. How did he do it? Damn it, 81 attacks all hitting the same place. This guy's control was quite precise. Yan Nantian hurriedly waved his hand and the 9 Emperor runes revolved. Crack, crack, crack. Thunder appeared between the 9 Emperor runes and connected with each other, completely enveloping Yan Nanshan's body. At this moment, Yan Nantian seemed to have turned into a Thunder God's body. Thunder God transformation. This was naturally a very terrifying divine power in the Great Emperor's inheritance. It was even more terrifying than the sun and moon splitting the sky. Although Yan Nanshan's Thunder God's body was created by a divine power, he was confident that it wouldn't lose to any body constitution. Whether it was a supreme demon body or a sacred body, he was confident that he could contend against them. This was the means of a great emperor. Buzz. After turning into a Thunder God's body, Yan Nanshan's speed reached the extreme. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Lin Xian. In an instant, he attacked 10,000 times. Terrifying thunder, combined with the vermilion bird divine feather, crazily attacked. Boom, boom. Lin Xian didn't show any weakness. The great destruction spear danced, destroying everything. So what if his opponent had turned into a real Thunder God's body? His 9 Yang divine body wasn't afraid of anyone. The vermilion bird divine feather and the great destruction spear kept colliding. Their bodies were also constantly clashing. Every attack could turn a half-sage into ashes. After thousands of collisions, the 2 retreated. Lin Xian's body was still filled with demonic aura. On the other side, several cracks had appeared on Yan Nanshan's body. Chapter 33-24. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian laughed and brandished the Great Destruction Spear again. Furthermore, he flicked his finger for an instant. The Great Destruction Spear rushed out, carrying with it the power to annihilate everything in the blink of an eye. Yin Nantian snorted and charged over. He was still using the Lightning God's physique and the Vermilion Bird Divine Feather. However, the power of the flick of his finger spread out and shrouded Yin Nantian. Not good. Yin Nantian's face changed. He found that there were more cracks on his body. Not only that, the lightning on his body dissipated quickly as if it was flowing in reverse. In the end, all the lightning disappeared. Yin Nantian's Lightning God's physique was broken. Buzz. Another flick of the finger. Yin Nantian was injured again. Many cracks appeared on his body as if he was about to be destroyed. Damn it. Yin Nantian roared and the Lightning God's physique was formed again. At the same time, the sun and the moon danced wildly and charged forward. In addition, he used an extremely terrifying divine ability from the Great Emperor's inheritance. Sky-destroying finger. Yin Nantian stretched out a finger. 7 laws danced on it and intertwined to form a terrifying Tao pattern. A terrifying aura spread out between heaven and earth and gathered on the finger. It seemed that the finger could pierce the sky and destroy everything. At this moment, the other martial artists in the Demon Cultivation Valley were trembling in fear. Although they didn't know what had happened, the aura was too terrifying. Damn it, it's the sky-destroying finger. This Yin Nantian, he even learned this move? Among the 3 figures, one of them exclaimed. This was an extremely powerful great mystic power. Back then, when the great Emperor Jianghu used the heaven-destroying finger, he could destroy hundreds of starry worlds across the endless void of the universe. It could be said that its power was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian naturally sensed the danger as well. His opponent's finger posed a great threat to him. Therefore, he didn't hesitate to use his divine ability. On the Great Destruction Spear, flames danced and formed a black lotus. Fire Lotus of Destruction. Lin Xian waved the Great Destruction Spear and smashed the black lotus away. At the same time, his opponent also attacked with the sky-destroying finger. One was a Great Emperor's divine ability and the other was a divine ability. The collision of the two was too terrifying. At this moment, the 3 people watching in the dark in the cloud sky Saint all retreated. A huge black hole appeared in the Demon Cultivation Valley. The people outside the Demon Cultivation Valley were stunned when they saw this scene. What's going on? What divine ability is this? Heaven. Could it be that 2 sages are fighting? The 2 great divine abilities clashed in the air with incomparable radiance. Lin and Yin Nantian Lin Xian were fiercely. Block it. The 9 monarch marks on Yin Nantian's body spun continuously, connecting him with lightning. Divine body. On the other hand, Lin Xian was also pushing his 9 yang divine body to its limits. Boundless energy crashed into his body, producing clanging sounds. After the first strike, the 2 of them charged forward again. It was the Extermination Fiery Lotus against the Heaven Extermination Finger. The 2 clashed 3 times. Their bodies were injured and cracks were everywhere. In the blink of an eye. Sun and moon under the heavens. The sun and moon rose in the sky. Another 2 divine abilities appeared. Lin Xian divine ability was still a divine ability. Yin Nantian relied on the divine body of the lightning god to attack with the sun and moon. The combination of the 2 was also a terrifying divine ability. The 2 attacked without any regard for their lives. Everywhere they passed, mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. At this moment, everyone hid. In the Demon Cultivation Valley, those who were weaker were directly knocked unconscious. Some were even affected by the energy. Their bodies were torn into a bloody mist. I surrendered. Screams rang out one after another. They were thrown away by a huge force. The weaker ones all left. There was nothing they could do about it. Although they were unwilling, they didn't want to be annihilated by this energy. Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang had already escaped to a safe place. At this moment, they were looking into the distance at the apocalyptic scene and the terrifying power. Their bodies were all trembling. It was too terrifying. These 2 people were really terrifying. In their opinion, they were both top half-saints. They even thought that they could compete with Yin Nantian. They could even trample on the other party. But now they found that they were wrong. Yin Nantian might not have been as good as them a few years ago, but now he had surpassed them. This was definitely the combat strength of a saint. This time, it was impossible for them to win the championship. It would be good enough if they could guarantee to be in the top 5. In front of them, countless destructive cracks spread quickly. Lin Xian and Yin Nantian's figures appeared. Both of their bodies were damaged. Countless bloody holes appeared on Yan Nanshan's body. His entire body was riddled with holes. Lin Xian's body also had a few large cracks. One of the slashes had almost cut him in half at the waist. The successor of the great emperor? He was indeed extraordinary. Lin Xian found that Yan Nantian was indeed very strong. He was not weaker than the great demon at all, as expected of the successor of the great emperor. On the other side, Yan Nantian was also shocked. Damn it, the other party was actually evenly matched with him. Perhaps even an ordinary saint could not do it. Who was this person? Could it be that he was also a successor of the great emperor? Damn it, I admit that you are very strong. But unfortunately, I still won this battle. Speaking of this, Yan Nanshan's eyes shone brightly. The 9 runes around him suddenly changed. They turned into 9 light vortexes and began to madly absorb the power of heaven and earth around them. Then they poured into his body and repaired his injuries. I have the great emperor's magical power. No matter if it is attack, defense, or recovery, they are all unparalleled in the world. Although your strength is comparable to mine, what about recovery? I can recover in an instant. What about you? Can you compete with me? Seeing the bloody holes on Yan Nanshan's body healing quickly, Lin Xian smiled. You're too confident. You're looking down on everyone in the world. Today I'll let you experience my divine ability. Nirvana Rebirth. Lin Xian's eyes burst with a piercing light. He formed a seal with his fingers. Suddenly the black flames around him jumped. They turned into a monstrous fire and enveloped him. A mysterious and terrifying power burst out. Lin Xian seemed to have been reborn from the fire. The cracks on his body were also healing quickly. Moreover, he was not slower than Yan Nantian. In fact, he was even faster. There were still 3 holes on Yan Nanshan's body that had not healed. On the other side, Lin Xian took a step forward. The great destruction spear in his hand rushed out again. This time, Lin Xian mobilized the great dragon sword soul in his body and integrated it into the great destruction spear. Suddenly, the great destruction spear seemed to have been given a soul. It came alive and trembled non-stop. It turned into a giant dragon that was thousands of feet long and rushed over. Chapter 33:25. Boom, 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 boom. The valley of demon cultivation shook violently as if it was about to break apart. The terrifying energy caused the people outside of the devil cultivation valley to tremble. Not good. Yan Nantian was in danger. They could feel the demonic aura below them, and Yan Nanshan's aura seemed to have weakened. The faces of the Vermilion Bird Palace elders changed. Boom, boom, boom. The violent energy in the valley of demon cultivation lasted for a long time before it slowly disappeared. Yan Nantian had been smashed into pieces and turned into a bloody mist. More than half of his head had been shattered. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. He had almost been killed. Was over. Lin Xian waved the great destruction spear again and rushed over. The remaining half of Yan Nanshan's head screamed. Damn it. Just you wait. I won't let you go. A beam of light shot out from between his brows. It shattered the void and then drilled into it, disappearing without a trace. He had escaped. The people who were secretly watching the battle were stunned. Yan Nantian, the successor of the Arch, had been beaten half to death. Had he escaped? This scene was simply too dreamy. Lin Xian took a deep breath and kept the great destruction spear. He then rushed into the sky. He disappeared into the void. Let's go. Yan Ryu said to the Northern Devil in the distance. The Northern Devil nodded. He knew that Yan Ryu had brought him to meet that person. He was just curious. Who was that person? He had an answer in his heart, but he couldn't believe it. Lin Xian landed on a mountain. Yan Ryu had brought the Northern Devil over. Looks like you succeeded. Yan Ryu smiled. Lin Xian shook his head. He had used up the Arch Regeneration Talisman this time. However, he didn't know how many the Arch Regeneration Talismans he had. Lin Xian had seen the Arch Regeneration Talisman before. Back in Skyfire City, Yan Nantian had tried to forcefully take the Great Destruction Divine Furnace. In the end, he had almost been killed by the furnace. Yan Nantian had used the Arch Regeneration Talisman once. However, there shouldn't be too many of them. If he allowed the other party to exhaust him once more, the other party would most likely not be able to escape when the final ranking was decided. If he was lucky, he might be able to kill the other party. Alright, who are you? Yan Ryu told me that we knew each other. Who are you? The North Demon asked. Lin Xian smiled. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly frowned and pulled out the Spear of Annihilation, stabbing it into the void behind him. With a loud boom, a huge black hole was pierced through the void behind him. A silhouette quickly left, leaving behind a trail of blood. Within the blood there were traces of the power of laws. It was extremely terrifying. Someone was there. Seeing this scene, the northern monster was shocked, and Yen Ryu's expression was grave. Lin Xian repelled that person. Then, a golden light appeared in his eyes as he looked in two other directions. Why aren't you retreating? Do you really want me to attack? It was quiet all around, not a single sound could be heard. It was as if there was no one around. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Through his heavenly secret god eyes, he could see that there were two more figures hiding in the surroundings. And they were hidden really well. Even he could only see a blurry figure. But that was enough. He would use the Spear of Annihilation to strike out 2 more times, causing endless black holes to appear in those 2 directions. Only then would the 2 of them leave. After the 3 of them left, Lin Xian snorted coldly. The auras of the 3 of them were not ordinary. They had already surpassed Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian. They were probably not too far off from Yan Nantian. After the North Demon heard this, he took a deep breath. What's going on? Why are there such terrifying experts again? Yen Ryu said. They should be the 3 fellas who had their saints clones sent down. Their powers are really weird and they can even use some special mystic skills. Don't let them sneak up on you. Don't worry, if it's a one-on-one fight, they won't be a match for me. I have my ways too. Lin Xian's voice was cold. Were these people here for him? Or for the Spear of Annihilation in his hand? In this battle, the Spear of Annihilation was too dazzling. It could easily defeat a half-saint like Long Zhaotian. Even Yin Nantian had escaped. He could imagine that everyone's eyes would be on the Spear of Annihilation in his hand. Even saints would be jealous of such a peerless weapon. Lin Xian retracted his gaze and looked at the North Demon again. You should have guessed who I am. That's right, your guess is the answer. Lin Xian did not remove the black flames on his body because he was afraid that someone would peep at him. The answer was very obvious. Is it really you? After the North Demon heard this, he took a deep breath. He was really shocked. He did not expect Lin Xian to not only not die, but his strength had also increased greatly. He even obtained the treasure of the Great Demon, the Spear of Annihilation. It was really unbelievable. The North Demon heaved a sigh of relief. No wonder. I knew it. You won't die so easily. You won't die so easily. Are you sure? At that moment, a cold voice sounded. Following that, the surrounding void shattered and the ground cracked open. A figure descended forcefully. The North Demon's pupils constricted. Yen Ryu's expression also changed. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Endless black flames rose from his body and turned into a black canopy that blocked the attack. The figure faced the canopy. The aura on his body was extremely terrifying. Cloud Sky Saint. Yen Ryu exclaimed. He did not expect the other party to attack so quickly. I can hold him back for a while. Hurry up and leave. It's not easy to fight now. Yen Ryu stepped forward. The North Demon said, I can hold on for a while. He also stepped forward. In their opinion, Lin Xian had just experienced a life-and-death battle with Yan Nantian. He was probably much weaker. If he fought with a saint now, he would be at a disadvantage. However, Lin Xian said, there's no need. I'm fine. Moreover, my combat strength has returned to its peak. Previously, he had been seriously injured. However, he had used the Law of Divine Ability and the Nirvana Rebirth technique to recover his body. Moreover, after the battle, he had used another Law of Divine Ability to recuperate. Therefore, he had basically recovered to his peak. Even if he faced a saint, he would not be at a disadvantage. Above, Cloud Sky Saint showed a disdainful expression when he saw the 3 of them fighting to attack him. Ignorant ants. I'm not someone that trash can compare to. I'm a true saint. The divine chains of order on his body rattled. It was very terrifying. He stared at Lin Xian. Although I don't know who you are, you're very suspicious. You might be the murderer of the Yun family's genius. Chapter 33-26. Not good, the other party is also here for the Great Destruction Spear. Yen Ryu and the North Devil's hearts sank. They knew that this treasure would definitely make the sages go crazy. If you want the Great Destruction Spear, let's see if you have the ability. Lin Xian instantly attacked. The Great Destruction Spear turned into a ray of black light that shot into the sky. At the same time he said, you two back off. I can handle this. Yen Ryu and the North Devil retreated once again because they knew that this battle would not be any weaker than the previous one. Cloud Sky Sage did not take the attack head-on. Instead, he disappeared like a cloud in a painting and dodged the attack. In the next moment, countless clouds of mist condensed in the distance and his figure appeared. Useless brat, I let you escape last time. This time I will not let you escape again. He waved his hand and activated his Saint Domain. It enveloped Lin Xian. In the next moment, an incomparably terrifying light surrounded the area, shocking everyone. The people in the demonic Cultivation Valley heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that the battle was over and they would be safe. However, they cried out in alarm once again. Another wave of energy that was the same as before exploded out, sweeping through the 9 heavens, causing them to almost go crazy. Heavens, who's fighting who this time? The people outside the demonic Cultivation Valley were also stunned. What's going on? Why is there another battle? Could it be that Yan Nantian has returned? In the Saint Domain, Cloud Sky Sage became a dominating existence and began to surround Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian was extremely terrifying. He actually pierced through the Saint Domain and flew in a certain direction. You can't escape, Cloud Sky Sage chased after him. The two of them turned into streaks of light. Wherever they passed, a terrifying wave of energy swept over, causing everyone to run away. In front, Lin Xian sneered as he flew. Run. What a joke. He was not running away. Instead, he thought of a way to suppress Cloud Sky Sage. Previously, when Lin Xian had used the Great Spear of Destruction to summon the demonic qi, he had sensed that something had changed in the Valley of Devil Cultivation. The demonic Cultivation Valley, from the name, one could tell that it was related to demons. Lin Xian's use of the Great Destruction Spear might have alarmed some unexpected changes in the mountain valley. Now he was using this change to deal with Cloud Sky Saint. Holding the Great Destruction Spear, Lin Xian carefully sensed his surroundings. At the same time, he activated his heavenly secret god eyes and scanned his surroundings. His speed was extremely fast. In an instant, he had completely left the surroundings and flew towards the depths of the Devil Cultivation Valley. Cloud Sky Saint followed closely behind. He did not care. In his opinion, there was nothing that could threaten him. Found it? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He was currently in the depths of the Devil Cultivation Valley, where there was a devilish pond. On both sides of the demonic pond, there were 2 ancient palaces. It was similar to the palace they had cultivated in before, but it was even more majestic and ancient. Lin Xian arrived in front of the ancient palace and turned around. Cloud Sky Saint followed closely behind and also landed. He looked at the 2 palaces in front of him, narrowed his eyes and asked, "Is this the grave you chose for yourself? It's not bad to have 2 palaces with you. However, since you dared to run so far, I'll destroy your body and soul." Terrifying laws rose from Cloud Sky Saint's body. His sacred region descended from the sky, wanting to envelop Lin Xian once again. Lin Xian sneered and retreated. Cloud Sky Saint chased after him. When he retreated to the middle of the 2 palaces, Lin Xian stabbed the Great Destruction Spear into the demonic pond below. Boom. A terrifying tremor spread out. It seemed like the Great Destruction Spear had awakened something. Buzz. A black aura instantly rushed out and completely enveloped Lin Xian and Cloud Sky Saint. Then it pulled them into the demonic pond below. Break. Lin Xian roared. The Great Dragon Sword Soul instantly merged with the Great Destruction Spear, piercing through the sky and escaping. He was always prepared, so his reaction was extremely fast. Cloud Sky Saint was one step too late. He had never expected that there would be a trap here that could threaten him. By the time he reacted and wanted to retaliate, it was already too late. He was pulled into the demonic pond. Gurgle gurgle. The demonic pond splashed and then became extremely calm. Lin Xian was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He turned around and left. Who knew what was inside? But it could definitely threaten a saint. This way he should have gotten rid of this guy, right? Lin Xian returned. On the other side, Yen Ryu and the North Demon were extremely anxious. They did not expect that Lin Xian and Cloud Sky Saint would leave after exchanging a few blows. Did Lin Xian lose? They did not know, so they chased after him to take a look. But halfway through they realized that Lin Xian had returned. "Are you okay?" Yen Ryu asked with concern. Lin Xian said, "I'm fine." The North Demon asked if the battle had ended. He did not sense any powerful aura. Where was Cloud Sky Saint? "I don't think he will come out again," Lin Xian said with a smile. Hearing this, Yen Ryu and the Northern Devil both sucked in a breath of cold air. Won't come out again? What did that mean? Could it be that Cloud Sky Saint was dead? A saint had fallen just like that? He was easily killed by Lin Xian? The 2 of them did not dare to believe it. Lin Xian was powerful, but Cloud Sky Saint was not bad either. He was even more powerful than Yan Nantian. Lin Xian saw their confusion and said, "I didn't do it. I lured that guy into the depths of the Demon Cultivation Valley. There seemed to be a terrifying existence there that swallowed both of us. I used the Great Spear of Destruction to escape. That guy probably didn't manage to escape. It turned out to be like this." The two of them heaved a sigh of relief. But at the same time they were puzzled. There was actually an existence that could threaten a saint. It was really frightening. Let's not wander around. Basically, no one is my match now. The others have also been cleaned up. We just need to wait a few days for the first stage to end. Yen Ryu said in a deep voice. Okay. Lin Xian and the North Demon did not refute. The three of them worked together and settled down in a place. The three of them were comprehending. Once they left the Demon Cultivation Valley, the laws they comprehended would disappear. And now was the best time for them to comprehend these laws. The remaining few days were extremely quiet. Even if there were battles, they would not be so intense. Because even someone like Yan Nantian was injured, the others probably did not dare to make a move. Finally, the Demon Cultivation Valley opened again. Everyone left in a frenzy. At the same time, they heaved a sigh of relief. They knew that everything was over. Not only would they survive, but they would also be able to participate in the second stage. But the first to rush out was Yan Nantian. The four divine beasts circled around his body. His face was extremely cold. In an instant he rushed out and met up with the Vermilion Bird Palace elders. Chapter 33:27. Seeing that Yan Nantian was fine, they all heaved a sigh of relief. However, Yan Nantian's expression was very cold. There was a person below with demonic energy and the Great Destruction Spear in his hand. He had to find him, kill him and snatch the Great Destruction Spear. After hearing this, the Vermilion Bird Palace elders' pupils shrank. Their faces were filled with shock and surprise. Wasn't the Great Destruction Spear something that belonged to the Great Demon? Why would it appear here? Don't ask, capture that guy first. Yan Nantian transmitted his voice and used his soul to transmit the other party's image into the Vermilion Bird Palace elders' minds. These elders saw a man whose entire body was pitch black like a devil. In his hand was the Great Destruction Spear. "I know, I'll inform the palace lord and have him send experts to suppress him," Yan Nantian said. There was no need for half-saints to come. Saints should directly attack. Otherwise he would definitely be able to escape. All right. The Vermilion Bird Palace elders quietly hid themselves. They probably went back to call the saints to capture him. The others didn't know, but the elders and seniors of the various sects all heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the warriors on their side come out. Great, they knew that they could enter the second stage. Where was that kid? The dark rainbow divine dragon looked down, but it didn't see Lin Xian's trace. The Devil Cultivation Valley opened. Lin Xian and the other two opened their eyes. They could finally leave. They heaved a sigh of relief. This time it was really dangerous. What about you? Yan Nantian probably wouldn't let this go. Yen Ryu was a bit worried. Lin Xian said, "It's fine. I can change my appearance and aura. Then we'll separate. You won't be able to find us. Alright, you leave first. We'll leave later." Lin Xian nodded. Then the demonic energy on his body disappeared and he became ordinary. His appearance also changed. Some beard even grew on his face. He seemed to have turned into a 2,000 to 3,000-year-old middle-aged man. Yen Ryu was still worried. She even observed for a while. She really couldn't find the other party unless she used some trump cards. However, this trump card was very precious. The Vermilion Bird Palace elders might not be able to find it. Even saints won't be able to find you like this. Unless there's a special saint artifact. Alright then, I'll be leaving first. See you in the third stage, Lin Xian said. Then he flew out in a flash and left with the crowd. Outside, the Vermilion Bird Palace acted very quickly. When the elders spread the news, the Vermilion Bird Palace master arrived. Accompanying them were two other figures. Of course, these two figures were hidden in the void. They didn't release any aura, but their cold eyes were mercilessly looking down on the entire Devil Cultivation Valley. Sages, two sages. The Vermilion Bird Palace was truly generous. Although they didn't see anyone, the surrounding people did feel an indescribable pressure. There seemed to be some kind of colossus beside them. Many of the older generation's expressions changed. Perhaps there really were some powerful cultivators from the Vermilion Bird Palace here. It should be at the level of a saint. They quickly quieted down and discussed in low voices. Some people wanted to leave, but they were stopped by the elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace. Everyone, please wait a moment. Our Vermilion Bird Palace's palace master is going to announce the second stage. When these words came out, the crowd couldn't leave. They stayed there, uneasy. Long Zhaotian, Zhao Wuliang, and the others gritted their teeth and looked down. Why hasn't that guy come out yet? They found it hard to believe. Could it be that guy is hiding inside and not coming out? Next to them there were screams. No, damn it, how is that possible? They found that their family's prodigies had been killed. The Nine-Headed Lion King clan. The Black Shark clan. The Dark Shadow clan. In short, the majority of the geniuses that everyone was familiar with had been killed. This made many people feel that the end of the world was coming. Heavens, there were so many people at the top of the Abyss leaderboard. Were they all dead? Who was the one who did it? They didn't dare to believe it. At the same time, Lin Xian also flew up with the remaining people. When he came up, he narrowed his eyes. He felt two gazes from the void shrouding him. He didn't open his Tianji divine eye, nor did he show any abnormalities. Instead, he concealed his aura. At the same time, he snorted coldly in his heart. There were two sages here. That damned Yan Nantian and the Vermilion Bird Palace sent out two sages to capture him. Fortunately, he was prepared in advance, so he was very calm now. Following the gazes of the sages, Lin Xian flew out, safe and sound. Next, after waiting for a while, the North Demon and Yen Ryu also came out. When the two of them came out, Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang became nervous. Yan Nantian emitted a biting cold light, and the phantoms of the four divine beasts soared into the sky with a terrifying howl. They're here. His expression was solemn. The Vermilion Bird Palace master's eyes lit up. The two great sages' subordinates also secretly opened their saint domains and shrouded the area. Even a saint would not be able to escape their pursuit. However, they were soon stunned because they found that other than the North Demon and Yen Ryu, there was no one else. What was going on? Where was that person? Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang were stunned. Lu Mu also frowned, and Yan Nanshan's expression darkened. He didn't come out. What was going on? Could it be that he guessed that they would send experts to hunt him down, so he hid in the valley and didn't come out? Thinking of that, he sneered. It was unknown what he said to the Vermilion Bird Palace's palace master through voice transmission. One of the sages moved out. He entered the valley below and probed in all directions with his soul spirit. However, he found no trace of anyone else. Everyone had come out. What was going on? They were stunned. Even the elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace went down and searched frantically. The others looked at each other. What was going on? Was the Vermilion Bird Palace still looking for someone? They didn't know. However, those who had participated in the first round were very puzzled. They found that one person was missing, a person with a monstrous demonic aura. That shouldn't be. Who was fighting with Yan Nantian? That person? At the same time, another scream was heard. Where was the patriarch? The people of the Yun family went crazy. Everyone came out. The people of the Vermilion Bird Palace went down to search, but their Cloud Sky Saint didn't come out. What was going on? The others naturally noticed it and immediately began to discuss. No way Cloud Sky Saint didn't come out. Could it be that the people of the Vermilion Bird Palace were looking for Cloud Sky Saint? A dignified sage who was even more powerful than Yan Nantian? How could there be a problem? Could it be that some treasure had been found below? Yan Nantian frowned. That's right, why didn't Cloud Sky Saint come out? However, they weren't looking for Cloud Sky Saint. Not long after, the elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace came out. The sage also came out. His powerful sage aura suppressed heaven and earth. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. They thought that Cloud Sky Saint had returned, but it wasn't. It was an unfamiliar sage. However, it seemed that he was from the Vermilion Bird Palace. Chapter 33-28. Oh. The Vermilion Bird Palace's saint frowned. What is going on? The people of Vermilion Bird Palace looked at Yan Nantian. Yan Nanshan's expression changed. Impossible, he couldn't have disappeared. Damn it, he is hiding? He must know that we are looking for him. He is hiding among these people. Yan Nantian looked around. His gaze was as sharp as a knife. He scanned these people, but he couldn't figure out who they were. Although many people were eliminated in the first trial, there were still more than 500 people left. He couldn't eliminate them one by one because that would anger them. After all, too many geniuses died in the first trial. At this moment, all the large families and sects were very angry, especially now that the Cloud Firmament Saint had mysteriously disappeared. If they dared to use force, these people would go berserk. Although they didn't fear anyone on planet Suzaku, these people weren't from planet Suzaku. They were from other worlds. Some of them were even very terrifying. If they were to join forces, they wouldn't be able to handle them. Don't worry, he won't be able to escape. He will definitely reveal himself in the second and third trials. Once he appears, we will lock onto him. At that time we will slowly deal with him. Yan Nanshan's voice was cold. The others nodded. It looked like that was the only way. The Vermilion Bird Palace's palace master stood up and said, "There are a total of 505 people who passed the first trial. Next up is the second trial. The second trial is very simple. It is to ascend the Vermilion Bird platform. You have half a day. Those who successfully ascend the Vermilion Bird platform within half a day will advance to the next trial. Those who fail will be eliminated." What? The Vermilion Bird platform. The moment he said that, everyone's expression changed, especially the 500 people who passed the first trial. Their expressions became ugly. The Vermilion Bird platform, the place where the Vermilion Bird Saint comprehended Tao? That place wasn't that easy to ascend. The Vermilion Bird platform had 99 floors. It was a very famous building on planet Suzaku because it was where a very terrifying Vermilion Bird Saint comprehended Tao. The Vermilion Bird platform was filled with the aura of a saint, so it was very terrifying. King Realm cultivators couldn't even get close. Only half-saints could. However, reaching the top was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The 99 levels of the Vermilion Bird Terrace. Most people would be exhausted after a dozen or so levels. They would not be able to withstand that terrifying aura. Perhaps only a true saint or an extremely terrifying half-saint could reach the 99th floor now. Either that, or they had special magical treasures or bloodlines that could counteract that terrifying aura. It seemed that not many people could pass the second stage. The 500 contestants all had serious expressions on their faces. Lin Xian didn't care. "Now follow me to the Vermilion Bird Terrace." The Vermilion Bird Palace's palace master said coldly. He waved his hand and took the lead to soar into the air. The others could only follow. The two saints did not leave either. Instead, they firmly locked onto the crowd, to prevent anyone from escaping. At the same time, they also sent experts from the Vermilion Bird Palace to guard this place to see if the other party was really hiding here. In the beginning, everyone was flying very quickly, but planet Suzaku was very big. Later on, one of the saints activated his domain and covered everyone. Their speed reached an extreme. After flying for about half a day, the group finally came to a stop. The saint domain retracted and everyone looked around. On the brown ground, there was a tall platform that reached into the clouds. There were mottled patterns on it. From afar, it looked like vermilion birds that had been reborn from fire. This was the legendary Vermilion Bird Terrace. As soon as they arrived, everyone could feel the terrifying pressure from above. Immediately, those people's hearts sank even more. "Now I'll give you 4 hours to recover. After 4 hours, the second stage will begin." What? Such a short time? The expressions of the 500 contestants all changed and they quickly sat down. The elders around them also took out pills with special effects and fed them to them. Lin Xian also sat there without showing anything. It seemed that as long as he entered the platform, everything would be fine. This way there was no need for him to be too conspicuous. He would wait until the third stage to reveal his identity and kill Yan Nantian. At that time, with so many people watching, the people from the Vermilion Bird Palace would not dare to be too arrogant. After making up his mind, Lin Xian calmed down. He did not have anything to say, but he still put on an act and swallowed 2 pills. The dark red dragon also followed in the crowd and did not meet up with Lin Xian. He had already received Lin Xian's voice transmission and mixed in with the crowd. He watched silently and was ready to provide support at any time. 4 hours quickly passed. Everyone stood up and arrived in front of the Vermilion Bird Terrace. The Vermilion Bird Palace Lord waved his hand. With a whoosh, everyone rushed forward. Yan Nantian took the lead. His speed was too fast to the extreme. The pressure on the Vermilion Bird Terrace was nothing to him. In an instant he passed through the 30th floor. In the blink of an eye he reached the 50th floor. Then his speed slowed down. However, in the eyes of the crowd, it was still extremely terrifying. That was the successor of the great emperor Yan Nantian. He was really too strong. However, at the same time they were even more curious. Who was the person fighting with Yan Nantian? Was he hiding among the 500 or so people? After Yan Nantian there were a few people who were also very fast. Among them, Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang had already recovered. Long Zhaotian roared angrily. His body was powerful, and the dragon shadow that surrounded him tore everything apart. Zhao Wuyang was like a peerless divine blade. Both of them were very fast and very eye-catching. After all, both of them were hot favorites to win the championship. Of course, there were also some hot favorites to win the championship, but they were nowhere to be found. They knew who had fallen in the first round. Thinking of this, countless people shook their heads and sighed. It was too tragic. They did not expect to lose so many geniuses and powerhouses in the first round. In addition to Long Zhaotian and Yan Nantian, Yan Ruyu and the Northern Demon also attracted everyone's attention. That was because the two of them were very strong. Apart from that, Lu Mu and the others were also very eye-catching. However, there were still 3 figures that exceeded everyone's expectations. That was because those 3 figures were very fast, even faster than Long Zhaotian and the others. They were closely following Yan Nantian. Who were those 3 people? They exclaimed in disbelief. That was because those 3 people were very unfamiliar. They were not people on the Abyss leaderboard, nor were they the top geniuses of the various great worlds. However, the strength of those 3 people was extremely shocking. In the void, the 2 great sage people stared at the 3 people with bright eyes. Then they revealed a trace of surprise. They actually felt the same aura. It seemed that those 3 people were not simple. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.